You're live. Hello, everybody. It's autumn once again. I want you guys to soak up the autumnal vibes coming out of this podcast because they are strong this
Jackson, you
week.
didn't find any spooky Conjuring transparent gifts?
I'm working on it. You were there the whole time. I sat down at my computer approximately 8 minutes ago and just worked like crazy to like get this stream up at
That's how you
all.
know it's good.
So
We're in for
that
autumn.
is my first priority now that we have begun, is I'm doing a Google search now for transparent gifts.
Just put up a gif of that
Scary.
one scene from the first Conjuring where the laundry gets blowed and it gets blowed onto the ghost, and then you see the ghost for a second, and then the laundry blows away.
It's pretty good.
Ooh,
It's pretty
spooky
good.
What the
curtains.
H? I just found a transparent Beetlejuice gif now.
Great.
Classic.
Just find
Why?
transparent gifs of Jesus and or nuns.
Yeah, I just forgot how Christ-centered this whole flim flam is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the best Christian movie ever made, I think.
Yeah.
It's a Chris Moss movie,
It
too.
is. It's also a Christmas
It is
movie.
yeah, we're doing it for Halloween though. Don't ask any questions.
Well, I did. I wrote, this is a Christmas movie right at the top of the notes that I tried to take.
But
We gotta, cause see, what we did last year for Christmas, for December I
Yeah.
should say, was we did a lot of like sort of pseudo Christmas movies.
yeah,
Like things that you're like, oh, technically this is a Christmas movie, like your Iron Man 3s and your Batman Forevers.
yeah,
And
all of those.
I want to
I'm
continue
familiar.
that trend, and I feel bad now having burned through one without even meaning to.
Yeah,
I know.
we
This
should just watch
will-
all of Harry Potter again.
Or like not. We could just not if we would like.
Now that J.K. Rowling is the biggest transphobe, everybody's favorite transphobe.
Is a gif of a spider crawling across the screen, like a big ol' hairy spider, like too much for people?
Yeah, that's too much. I'll leave. I'll leave.
I love a good hairy spider.
No, you don't, Keisha.
Yes, I do! Don't tell me what I love!
I like these two skeleton lads.
Yeah, the skeletons are good.
They're kind
Oh,
of
here's a
mansion.
dancing, kind of undulating a little bit, just good stuff.
When was the last time you really listened to the lyrics of Spooky Scary Skeletons?
Are there more than the first two lines?
Well, not really, but it's actually just a sad, sad tale of skeletons who are misunderstood and just want to dance with the living, and everyone assumes they're evil.
Jackson, put that spooky eyeball on your ghost guy.
No, but it's a crack. I like it better being down here. I mean, I could put it like up here, but it doesn't really make sense there. Because it's like, why am I looking through a thing if I have a sheet over my head? It doesn't work.
What about on Lorraine's ring? It's gotta be smaller, though.
Yeah, just make it super small.
Make it super small so nobody can see it and the bit is lost.
Or
Cool.
get a different eyeball. Get
I
another
like
eyeball.
it down in the corner. That's fine.
See, that's what I was saying. I'm going to keep it down in the corner where people are more likely to see it and it feels more in place. You guys keep it up. I'm still plugging away at these gifts.
Yeah, we know. We got
I don't know. I'm thinking about the eyeball. It's all I can think about now.
it. The eyeball. Whose eyeball?
My
It's not a particularly threatening eyeball. It's kind of just like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, he's just
well, what's a threatening eyeball? Like Mike Pence's bloodshot eyeball during the debate.
And like a fly lands on it and then flies away.
On the eyeball. That's threatening.
Was that guy with a pumpkin for a head dancing? Was that an SNL skit?
No, David S. Pumpkins was, but that's just a
man.
And it was like an old 90s thing. Like some kind of weird TV special.
Gotcha.
It's my favorite Halloween special, is the guy with the pumpkin head dancing.
The dance. Okay, but like, I've never seen a David S. Pumpkins sketch. Are they?
There's only one.
There's just the one.
There's just the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that it was so, like, non sequitur random for, like, Tom Hanks, America's sweetheart / QAnon suspect.
Yeah,
That people were like, oh my gosh, that's funny.
Wait,
Also, it's pretty funny.
is he a suspect of being QAnon, or is he a subject of QAnon
He's
conspiracies?
he's a QAnon subject.
Okay. Well,
They're
I mean,
like,
who isn't
oh, I know, but they were like, Tom Hanks, he just became a citizen of Greece, and you know what's legal in Greece? Child pornography,
really?
which it's not. They're like, yeah, anyone like a child pedophile, you come on over.
Yeah,
It's cool
You come to
here.
Greece.
We've decided it's
we
cool
don't care.
here.
He's the child porn capital of the world, apparently.
Whatever happened? So, okay, of all the vaccines they're working on, like, what are the odds that the Tom Hanks one is the one we end up going with? Does anybody know which one that is? How they're doing?
Wait, so he got the corona.
Right.
It got all up in him. And did he start making a formula then?
Hold on, I just messed up the world. I mean, he donated some of his, like, antibodies or whatever, so that he was the person whose antibodies they were using to work on one of the vaccines.
Gotcha.
Like, I would definitely be okay with waiting, like, maybe 1 month extra if it could be ensured that the vaccine we got was the Tom Hanks one for sure.
Yeah, it's.
I would love to have Tom Hanks antibodies floating down my bloodstream.
Yeah, it's like when you take a drink of water and they're like, one molecule of that was pissed out by Einstein, and you're like, whoa, but it's Tom Hanks.
Right.
Or like there was a drop on a dinosaur.
Ooh.
That's my dream, is to drink dinosaur blood.
Well, I have good news for you.
I am always drinking.
You almost certainly
You're
have.
drinking dinosaur blood. You think that's a
Wow.
Dr. Pepper? Incorrect.
That's what makes it so spicy, is the dinosaur blood.
Why is it spicy?
There's 23 ingredients. That's a lot of ingredients.
That's true. One of them could be dinosaur blood.
Dinosaur blood.
Okay, what do you think
At
about
least-
this? Is this a good gift setup?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, I like the direction of the Black Widow. It's a good contrast,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. You've got really good
And-
composition, Jackson.
Thank you. I've got an eye for these sort of
Beautiful.
things. I used to be a photographer.
I used
But
to
everything
be.
changed.
I've quit photography, but
Yeah, okay, the screen went sideways for a second. It's fine.
It was me.
That's
Don't
apart.
fucking draw attention to it. It's fine. I was
oh my
just
gosh, do you
getting
guys
everything
remember
set
when
up.
the screen was sideways for a little bit? Oh, What?
Woo.
woo! Hey,
You guys are
hey.
threatening my fragile masculinity.
That's okay, because if anything you can learn from Patrick Wilson is that your masculinity doesn't matter.
Is that the moral of this movie? I guess, kinda.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just really like Patrick Wilson in this movie,
I mean,
and I
true.
usually think Patrick Wilson's creepy.
Did he play Ed? Who did he play?
Yeah, that he's Ed. Because
No,
remember
it's Bill Wilkins.
our last Conjuring episode, I had that little run about how it's weird that Patrick Wilson has stands, and then
Yeah, like where are they coming from? What franchise?
I know. I mean, if they're coming from anywhere, it's gotta be. I mean, we should wait until we start the actual podcast, but
Yeah.
like like this is he's definitely got like hot dad energy in this movie, in both
He's
of these
got
movies.
It's true.
Scar sideburns. One.
Well, but like he definitely could like provide for you and protect you while also just being a pretty cool guy at the same time.
He's
you know,
like if Jack Torrance was a cool dad.
He's
It's
like-
like the same vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Torrance with more hairline.
the platonic
Yeah.
ideal of like what a 50s dad should be.
It's true.
Yeah. Oh, so the
Except he's
stream
gonna
is a
send
day
it.
early because I work tomorrow. That's literally the only reason.
Classic.
Because I told my boss, I was like, yo, don't schedule me for Friday evenings because I have a thing then. And she was like, all right, you got it. And then she was like, hey, but this Friday, actually, I'm gonna. It's like, damn it.
Where are you working now?
I can't say or I'm gonna get arrested.
Okay.
They
Oh.
I won't
It
ask
was a
anymore
home
then.
decoration store, but they when I had my orientation, they like sat me down about like what to do and what not to do on social media, and I have a feeling that have a podcast is not on the to do part of the social media.
Fair
I don't know.
enough.
Did they say not to talk about your job on your podcast?
Maybe they just meant like, hey, don't be a neo-Nazi and also work for
Probably,
us
honestly.
on
I think
Instagram.
they meant like just don't talk shit about the brand
Right.
on social media because like that's a bad look.
True.
Well, I'm just gonna guess that it's Ashley Furniture Store.
Yeah, fuck Ashley.
Well,
Ashley.
it's not Ashley Furniture then.
Yeah. God damn it, Ashley.
Who is Ashley?
She sounds
Who's
like a bitch.
Joanne?
I just feel like Ashley invented the live, laugh, love sign.
Yes, for certain.
Like, or at least popularized it.
Okay, so I've got a package delivery job right now. I didn't have to sign anything about social media, so I'm just gonna say it. It's with Amazon. And I'm delivering out in Ogden, Utah, which is a town which I believe leads the nation in novelty no soliciting signs. And like, okay, so here's a question. I've thrown this to Anna before, I think, but I want to throw it to you guys. Is there anything that you could possibly put on a novelty doormat that would be funny?
There's one at my store that just says like, I forget what it says exactly. I think it just says "Hi, I'm Matt" on it. I don't know. I like that one.
Yeah.
This. I just had this conversation with my family. This is kind of related, but not really.
All right, cool.
So we got these shock mats because my dog would go into the kitchen and like eat a bunch of food.
Yep.
And they didn't work, but they're the size of like a welcome mat, and he would just jump over them. But my idea to like make people go away, especially in the wake of Corona, was to be like, we're a really Chinese family. There's a sign that says, hey, you need to take your shoes off here, or you're no go, no dice, no entering. And then they walk up, and the welcome mat is actually just the shock mat. That's I think the best and funniest one.
So wait. In this situation,
to be wearing your shoes on the shock mat? Why would
the
you
shock?
want to be on the shock
mat can't shock because I don't want people to come into my house.
So the situation is somebody comes to your house, you don't want them to be there.
I don't want them there.
You open the door. You say to them, "Hey, come on in, friend." But wait, before you do, make sure you take off your shoes. And then they do, and they walk in and they get shocked.
And they die.
No,
and they just leave.
My plan is before they even get to the door, like 6 feet in front of the porch. Shoes off here. There'll be a little bucket or something.
Nobody would do that.
And then
selling their
no. They would if they were respectful of my culture. And then if I saw that they didn't, I'd say, you're racist. And I definitely don't want you here.
Wearing their shoes on your
on my front porch.
Oh no!
Your stoop is a no shoes zone.
I've done that.
I haven't actually done that before. This is just theoretical.
The two of us have definitely worn shoes on your stoop before.
Yeah,
I know. So all this to say,
God,
two people to cancel.
Okay, all right. I guess it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to think on moving forward.
What else is funny? Don't come in. Wipe your paws.
Because, like, I feel like a novelty doormat is, like, the worst possible outlet for comedy, right? Like, either it's supremely, like, even if something's not really that funny, like, even if you put something that would normally be funny on a doormat, the fact that it's on a doormat makes it cringy, you know? Like, if you bought a doormat from the store, no matter what it says on it, it will always be trying too hard, you know?
What if it was like the alive, fuck? What if it was that one?
Or just maybe in the future there'll be like doormats that also are televised screens. So it'll just be like playing vines
You
on a
just get
loop
to
or
pick a
something
vine.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Like those new gravestones that can just have vines on them.
Has anybody had a vine on their tomb yet?
Yeah, come on, guys. We got it.
I would go for Pizza Rat.
Pizza Rat would be a good. Wait, are we talking gravestones or mats now?
Pizza Mat. Pizza Mat.
Pizza mat. Okay.
Wait, is the pizza square? Like we're in Chicago?
Chewy.
Hello?
What? I think you cut out for a second.
Chewy. That's what I pick. I changed my mind.
You'd put
No,
Ratatouille
Pizza
on your
Mat.
doormat or on
No.
your gravestone.
Matatouille.
Ratatouille.
I just love that movie. It's so good.
The only reason
The
I would
pretty
ever
mats
go to
that look like
Florida is
waves.
for the
Yeah, I
Ratatouille
think
zone in Walt Disney World. I can't wait.
I had Ratatouille at Disneyland in the
Oh.
Pixar Pier place.
Wait, where do they
It
have
was the best.
Ratatouille?
At Pixar
At
Pier.
Pixar Pier.
But where?
I'll
I
tell
don't
you, like,
remember that.
Well, Jackson,
It's
it's because we don't eat
it's at the
at
like
a fancy restaurants at
fancy. It's the
Disneyland.
fancy one. I've
Oh,
never
it
been
was
to
in a
Disneyland
restaurant.
before.
I guess that makes sense.
It's in a restaurant. They just have next to Corn Dog Castle. They just toss it out Ratatouille.
In my brain, I
They're
guess
just
in my
throwing
mind,
it
I
in the
was like,
street for the rats to eat.
what if they just like let rats loose at Pixar Pier?
I've got some bad news
Oh.
for you, Jackson, and it is that Disneyland has like the worst mouse problem in the whole world. So they just released a bunch of cats, and that's why there's stray cats at Disneyland, because they're literally just supposed to eat like the millions of mice.
Yeah, I know, but that solved the rat problem.
No, now there's just cats and mice.
I don't think that's right. I think they killed all the rats.
No, it's kind of like cane toads.
If cartoons have taught me one thing, it's that the cats successfully eat the mice every time.
Yep.
Have you seen Tom and Jerry?
Yeah, he always eats the mouse at the end. That's how those all
There's a
end.
different mouse every episode.
Jerry
Tom and
dies.
Jerry episode.
No, Jerry is just a title. It's not his name.
That's just what they call mice in
Yeah.
that universe.
In cat
Tom and
language,
mice.
Jerry means mouse.
In French. It's a French cartoon.
Yeah, Jerry. Well,
Come
yeah,
here,
'cause
Jerry.
Jerry has that little baby nephew who's French for no reason.
And he's
Do
always
you remember him?
doesn't he like get
Yeah.
drunk like on multiple different occasions?
Yeah.
Why does his little cousin
hate that
always
guy.
get drunk?
Because it's a baby.
I don't know, 'cause he's
it's fine.
French.
He's supposed to drink.
I guess the French do like wine.
And they always give him a gun, too. He's always got a gun, and he's always drunk, and he's like, oh,
I think the real thing was like Jerry is a recovering alcoholic, and so he couldn't be the one drinking, but his nephew could.
Right. And his
Oh,
nephew.
You know.
I thought you were saying that his nephew was just a drunken hallucination to like make up for the fact that he couldn't drink.
Maybe.
So that's why the baby's always drunk, is because he's not real, and Jerry wished that he could drink.
He's living vicariously through his little nephew.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like a looper situation, and that's him from the past.
I think maybe it's like Memento.
Jerry's got memento disease, and
Yeah.
every Tom and Jerry cartoon takes place in reverse order.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, maybe.
Oh,
Is there any character to... I think you could watch them all backwards and it would make just as much sense.
That's true, I suppose.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Tom
Maybe it's like
starts out
Memento.
on fire and ends fine.
Remember
You know,
that
or,
one?
like, explodes.
Remember that one where I think they're playing tennis, and Tom runs into a fence and comes out as cubes.
Yeah,
That was a
Oh
good one.
yeah,
that's a classic.
Classic.
it's like cheese grater.
Yeah.
Love it.
We should all aspire to run into a fence so fast that we come out as cubes, I think.
I remember they did a special and it was like the Nutcracker, but it was Tom and Jerry. But there's also like a dragon at one point.
Do you want to get into the rabbit hole of like licensed Tom and Jerry movies? Because
Kind of.
there are more than you think. Should we start the podcast or should we leave this as a pregame?
Well, yeah, okay, it's got the fuck all to do with the Conjuring.
Okay. Give me just a second. I'm googling Tom and Jerry movies.
Oh, because there's one. It's like the Toy Maker, and they're like toys, and there's a dragon. And the toy maker is Santa and also God.
I feel like I missed out on a lot of Tom and Jerry lore. I wasn't big on Tom and Jerry.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read off a list of the titles of Tom and Jerry movies, okay? Tom and Jerry, the movie. That was 1992. 2001, Tom and Jerry, The Magic Ring. 2005, Tom and Jerry, Blast Off to Mars. 2005, Tom and Jerry, The Fast and the Furry. 2006, Tom and Jerry in Shiver Me Whiskers.
Oh my god.
That one's good.
So here's where it gets licensed. Or more likely that it becomes like sort of pseudo-parodies of other stories where they act out the beats of other famous movies. 2007, Tom and Jerry, A Nutcracker Tale.
Yep.
2010, Tom and Jerry Meet Sherlock Holmes.
Oh my god.
2011, Tom and Jerry and the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Tom and Jerry, Robin Hood and His Merry Mouse. Not mice, mouse.
Yep, just Jerry.
Tom and Jerry, Santa's Little Helpers. Tom and Jerry, Back to Oz. And then the most recent one is Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, they didn't even make a pun out of that one. They're just like, yeah, I'm doing that story. Willy Wonka's a fucking mouse or whatever, who gives a shit.
I don't know.
Willy Wonka and the Cheese Factory. I don't know, what mouse pun can you make out of that?
Willy Cat
Mouse.
Willy Kafka.
So is that mice?
Should we watch the Tom and Jerry Willy Wonka special for this podcast?
No, we gotta watch the Nutcracker.
Let's do, instead of watching The Conjuring in chronological order, we'll watch the Tom and Jerry movies in chronological order.
I don't know if there's a timeline. That might be our responsibility to establish a timeline.
Then we'll be the first ones to establish a canon Tom and Jerry chronological.
So we watch them all backwards.
Yeah, and I guess we also have to determine once and for all whether or not Jerry has memento disease.
Yeah, and he does.
Yeah. Well, we haven't determined that yet.
It's hard to say.
Start the podcast?
Yeah, let's start the podcast.
I could go on.
I can talk about Tom and Jerry till the cows come home, or till the cats come home.
Oh, snap. Okay, I'm starting my recording right now.
I am too. I think it's working.
Conj 2.
Eddie, that's my name. I'm recording.
Me too.
I don't know, man. This is like
foot lettuce.
Oh, wait, hold on. I've got the wrong input.
May not be what you want, but sometimes that's exactly what you get. What happened to that?
Kiri, do you think we can get the Burger King foot lettuce guy on the podcast?
Oh, no. We don't have clout for that. Are you kidding me?
Okay, I've got the right. Okay.
Clout bucks do you think we have?
Okay. Wait, just a sec. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at the world.
That's okay. I always take a second.
Thank God I'm good.
I'm ready now.
Were you going to make a joke about clout bucks?
I was, but I changed my mind.
I thought that
I think I should be geared near.
Jackson, I got a bone to pick with you about the picture that you've chosen for the thumbnail, because what is this picture?
It's the poster. It's like the only poster for this movie.
Is her forehead cut off in the poster?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
what about like all of those upside down crosses? Could have gone with that.
That didn't come up on the IMP Awards page for Conjuring 2.
No, none of the none. I get it.
Wait, what did you say?
None of the none.
What?
What?
What are you saying?
There were no
so
pictures
confused.
of the nuns, so I said none of the nuns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said it like 4 times now.
You said it really fucking quiet every time and mumbled it. Okay, are we all ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to start In 3, 2, 1, now.
Oh.
Okay. Super quick. I'm gonna... Adeline, could you... never mind. I was gonna ask if you could tweet super quick, but it's too late now because we're already recording.
Yes, fine.
Well, I mean, we can start though. You can still tweet about it.
You still tweet about it. I'll tweet about it.
Okay, go ahead and tweet. I'm recording. Actually, everybody stop recording. We're gonna run our plugs.
Alright.
Alright. Anyway.
I'm gonna tweet on I'm gonna get on the Discord server.
Okay, I'm gonna tweet. I have to think of something funny. I'm trying to think of a joke, because you know how in the second Garfield movie they go to London? How can I make that joke about the Garfield movie, but make it about the Conjuring 2?
Conjuring 2, A Tale of Two Ghost Hunters.
Can't do Conjuring 2, Jesus Boogaloo. Ear near. Bow. Be our guest. Do you ever think about the Descendants movie?
Why are you forceful about it? Be our guest.
That's how they do it in the Descendants movie. I've been watching the Descendants a lot with my niece.
Oh my god.
If we keep bringing Kezia back, we're gonna have to do the Descendants movies eventually, I think.
Yeah. They do. There's a trilogy, and they do a rap version of "Be Our Guest."
Fuck.
Oh my god,
it's horrible.
Oh my god,
I hate it so much. But that's just the way of the world, you know.
Okay, I'm copying the link.
Oh wait, why is the link not working?
Right there. It's not letting me paste. Copy, and then I paste it. There we go.
You know?
Sorry, I know this is dead air. I know.
I'll just start screaming.
Perfect. Amazing.
I know. I feel like that's the solution to the world's problems. Is just screaming.
Just screaming. Okay.
California screaming.
Just screaming.
That's good. Okay. I'm gonna start recording again. Are we all ready?
Hold on.
Okay, hold on, Cade. I don't know if you're still here. You might have left. Am I seeing here that you're starting a Pokemon Nuzlocke stream series?
They've said they're doing that before.
This is the first I'm hearing of it. You're totally biting our shit, Cade. Our shit that we tried to do 2 separate times, but ultimately didn't end up actually doing.
I don't know if that's their fault. I just don't know.
I feel like my audio's not recording, and I'm nervous about it.
What makes you say that?
Because when I press play or record, there's nothing. But I could be wrong.
Aragorn's upset that this isn't a Cars fandom deep dive.
Aragorn, let me be perfectly frank with you. That is less than a month away, I guarantee it.
Yeah, no, don't even worry about it.
Like, I can't stress enough how much that was 0% a bit. Like, we are getting Dan back here to do a Cars episode as soon as possible.
As soon as Halloween is over, I think we have to do Cars. And I
well,
will be
Cars
all
is
up
a
on
gratitude.
the Tumblr and the Tumblr tags for finding fanfiction for Cars. Don't even worry about it.
Oh god, we gotta do fanfiction readings for Cars.
Oh,
Fuck.
hell yeah, dude. Yeah, man.
Ah.
Oh god. See, the one thing that I regret about my youth, because like I was on Tumblr and stuff, but I was never really a part of any cringy like subcultures, and that makes me sad. I feel like I missed out on being able to be a part like fan fiction at its peak. Like I was there and I just didn't participate. Like
I definitely I want to start the podcast before I tell this story.
okay.
Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay, I am recording.
I am now recording.
I am also now recording.
Are you sure that it's recording, Kezia?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
I switched the input.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's go Jackson, Adeline, Kezia for a little warm-up. iPhones
Really?
Suck.
when
You
Cover
them.
with
macaroni.
They really suck then. They don't work. Okay.
not my Android.
I hate those. They're so
Hi
hard for me
everybody.
to think
This
of
is the
anything.
Macaroni Deluxe, new from Android.
No. They're bad when they're covered in macaroni.
No, Keisha.
But that
thank
means
you so much
Androids
for
are
bringing that
good.
up. It's actually iPhones that are bad when you cover them in macaroni cheese. But the new
I don't
Android macaroni, it functions no matter what gelatinous substance you put it in. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Sponsored by
Why are
Android.
you describing macaroni as gelatinous? What kind of macaroni
The
are you
cheese
eating?
is Kezia.
I never said cheese.
Okay.
Bold of you to assume there was cheese.
So you're just eating plain macaroni?
What?
Well, no, there's just other substances you can put on macaroni. You can put a little tomato sauce. You can put macaroni salad.
But the fact that you are assuming there is no gelatinous substance on the macaroni means that you are eating macaroni plain. Maybe with salt.
No! Would you call tomato sauce gelatinous?
Yes.
Also, if I would not.
It's not juice.
Sauce.
It has substance to it.
Gelatin. Not akin to Jello.
Okay.
Also, has the fucking planet ever eaten macaroni with tomato sauce? What the fuck is that?
Yes, I had terrible spaghetti nights all the time growing up.
Okay. What's the intro to this?
Food all the time.
What's the intro to this podcast?
What's the song that they keep singing?
Wait, let's just do the Gregorian chanting. Oh.
I could do the song that plays over the credits. That's like.
How is that easier than singing Silent Night?
The Conjuring, starring Jackson McMurray, Kezia Rhodes, Adeline Frances McMurray. No nerds allowed.
How come Adeline gets to go with her middle name?
Why was I third?
You're like
Here's just the beginning.
That was a bad intro.
Company.
Okay, bits aside, that was a bad intro, and I don't want to use it. I want to come up with something else.
That I don't.
Okay, did you? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Is this
I
okay?
thought Gregorian chanting was funny.
All right.
Hey, I don't know, like knock knock, who's there? No nerds allowed. It's a Bill Wilkins reference for you.
Hell yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know if I've already put in the title music or not, but I guess we're just going now. I didn't give myself an appropriate out. Whatever. So, what's up, fellow gamers? Today we come to you live.
On our knees.
It's fun to actually say live because we are live this time.
Yeah, no, it's not a goof.
We are truly live. We come to you live with a very, very special announcement. We've been teasing for a little while that we're about to add a third permanent host to the show to be here with us every week, talking about movies. And today, we are thrilled to announce that Patrick Warburton will be our third host on the show from now on. That's right, Patrick Warburton of...
I thought it was going to be Patrick Wilson.
No, not Patrick Wilson. We asked him, but he wouldn't do it. Patrick Warburton of Emperor's New Groove and Series of Unfortunate Events.
California.
The Tick. Oh, right. The safety video for Soaring Over California. His greatest work.
Yeah, his main role, really.
That robot in Star Tours where his voice is...
he won an Oscar for Soaring Over California. So I don't know why you would just skip over it like that.
See now, but now the funny thing is that I want to actually announce. I don't know how to segue away from this bit I started doing. We're thrilled to announce that Kezia Rhodes is going to start hanging out with us every week. She's a
it's me.
a great friend of ours.
Did it take for Soarin', California, but unfortunately they rejected it.
She didn't even get to do it.
They did hire me on for Soarin' over Wyoming, though.
Oh yeah, see that's a good get.
Do they have Soarin' at other Disney parks? Do they have like Soarin' over Tokyo or Paris or whatever?
I think they must. Well, because
California
isn't only California. You go all over the world. So.
Oh, that's right, because it's not Soarin', California anymore. It used to be Soarin', California. Now it's just called Soarin' because you go to Africa and stuff.
Yeah, because the theme park is no longer California themed because we all realized that was a stupid idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys are as excited as we are. We love hanging out with Kezia. She's a great friend of ours from way back, and it's very exciting. It's very exciting to have another friend that we have an excuse to hang out and talk with at least once a week. So anyway, it's autumn, fellas. As of today, it became autumn about 2 days ago for me. About 2 days ago, it got cool.
It's still 70 degrees here, so
yeah. we're in like high of 65 zone right now, and the leaves are changing. I'm wearing jackets outside.
Oh wow!
Is this like good podcast content?
Talk about sweaters some more, Jackson.
Not just jacket, just a light jacket.
Oh, not even sweaters.
Like a hoodie.
Like swirly leaves that happen because it's a little breezy on the road, you know?
Nice crunchy leaves on the ground. Everything's just starting to turn yellow. Coronavirus all over.
You know, every fall when the coronavirus sets in.
Yeah, every year.
The leaves,
just didn't realize till now.
The leaves have just started to fall, so you don't really have to rake them yet, but they're still a different color, you know, right in that sweet spot before they become a chore you have to do.
It's true.
Any other observations about the fall, Kezia?
Pumpkin spice lattes are in effect, and I'm not going to say how many I've had because it's dangerous.
Nice. Okay, I have something to discuss.
Wait, hold on. I have a thing to discuss.
Okay, you've got some autumn, some observations about autumn.
No, mine is Conjuring related.
Okay, fine.
Okay, well, so is your anecdotal, or is it related to the thing that we're talking about?
No, it's not. It's an anecdotal. It's a thing I want to talk about. So
Okay. You go first, and then I'll go.
There's a gas station.
Okay.
A few blocks from my house. It's like a 2 or 3 minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there very often, whether I'm going to work and grabbing a coffee drink before I go in, or it's just one of my days off and I just want to take a little walk, go down there, grab $100 grand, eat a caramely, crisp, puffed ricey candy for a minute. Just spend.
Thank you for describing $100 grand to us.
While away the hours.
We don't know, Kezia.
But at this gas station, there are 2 different people who work there. And as far I've been there has probably not been 3 days in the last couple of months that I've not been in and out of that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to recognize me at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it will be fun to have some kind of rapport with these guys. They seem to be, if not a father and son, then at least like one old guy and one younger guy.
Mm-hmm.
The older guy definitely does not speak very good English, so I'll give him a pass. But the younger guy seems to be like my age. And he like looks me right in the eye and is like, that'll be $2. Like every day.
Feel the connection.
And I feel like I don't know what to do to like engage with this guy. I'd be like, hey,
Jackson, just kiss him, Jackson. Come on.
Just even through the mask?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, the Mandalorian's coming back.
Put some hand sanitizer on there first, but then just kiss him.
Got it. So, Kezia, you're saying I should just be like, hey, did you see Mandalorian last night? Did you see Baby Yoda's antics?
And then he's like, no, I'm more into, High School Musical, the series.
Talk about our favorite Disney Plus content.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can be like, hey, I'm doing this thing where I'm watching all of this streamable things.
Just start plugging my shit.
Start plugging all your stuff.
To the gas
Is that how
station
you
guy.
make friends?
God damn it. Just go to local businesses and be like, hey, do you like YouTube?
Or you're like, hey, you want to hang out on Friday night? Oh, actually, I can't because I do my podcast.
God damn it. Okay, maybe I'll try that. I'll try plugging my shit. Okay, do you have a Conjuring thing that you're just burning a hole in your pocket you need to say, Adeline?
Well, because I really want to know. It's more of a question. So earlier in 2020, a thing happened where the haunted doll, her name is Sally, correct, from the Conjuring movies?
Annabelle?
Annabelle. I don't know why I thought it was Sally. Anyway, the Annabelle
I'm
doll.
so excited to go into theaters to go see Sally, Creation.
Sally comes
Annabelle's
home.
any scarier.
At
Anyway,
least it has, like,
the actual like Annabelle doll, the Raggedy Ann doll that's
Right.
like in the Warren house, went missing.
Right. I wrote that down.
Stolen.
I was wondering if we ever resolved that. I didn't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look it up right
wondering,
now.
did we find Annabelle?
Did Annabelle ever come home?
Yeah. What did she have to do? Because like her story takes place in like the 70s, right? The incident where she like haunted those people was like in the 70s, right?
Yeah, I think it was the late 60s.
The late 60s? Yeah, it was a while ago. So like I don't even know what she like has to do anymore. Like she's been unemployed for a while is what I'm saying. Like I don't know what she has to do, what she's going out and partying for.
Okay, so apparently that was never a true thing. It was an urban legend. Annabelle never escaped.
Oh, that's not fair.
That's what they want you to think, because they don't want the public to freak out.
Yeah, Jackson, it's because they haven't found her, so they're like, oh, she's still here. She's still here.
there is a quote in this article from the like curator of that museum, and he says, quote, I would be very, very concerned if Annabelle ever went missing, unquote.
Oh, God.
Good thing you did it.
It is frightening, to say the least.
This man who's like, just to be clear, Annabelle has not disappeared. She's here. She's safe. She's contained. But dear God, if she ever gets out.
I want to know what job qualifications you need to have to become the curator of the like haunted things museum.
Is Lorraine Warren still alive?
Really in-depth, like.
I think she died pretty recently. If she's still alive, I'm gonna email her and ask to be the curator.
Yeah.
Lorraine!
Yeah, she's still alive. She's 79 years old.
Yeah, she's still pretty young.
I'm gonna hit her up.
Or
at least Judy.
Ed Warren is dead in real life, correct?
Yes, he died.
He got speared through the chest.
By a tree.
He died.
I was gonna say, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious? Spoilers for The Conjuring 2. Wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if Ed Warren actually died by getting a sharpened tree propelled through his chest? Like,
we spent like 20 minutes on a podcast episode recently talking about how funny it would be if Tom Cruise died in the vacuum of space. I feel like we only get one wouldn't it be funny if this real life person died in this horrific way joke. I feel like we just gotta call it.
He's already passed away. This is different. We're not calling our shot. It hasn't happened. But like, imagine that you're just like sitting in theaters and you see the tree stump go propelled through his chest and he dies. And then you look it up and it's like, yeah, a ghost just straight up killed Ed Warren. And you're like, what?
No, that's like the Johnny Cash movie, you know? How you're like, wow, it's really horrible that happened to a child. They got sawed in half. That's probably fake, and then it's not!
Okay, so The Conjuring 2.
Yes.
Sequel to The Conjuring 1. I think is the best Conjuring of the two. Adeline, your thoughts?
I liked how straightforward the plot of the original Conjuring was. I liked that it was like, yo, there's this hella spooky house, and then we see it build up until it's just too spooky to handle. And then we have the Ghostbusters come in, and then they fix it. It's like, alright, I get what we're doing. We did the two things. I'm waiting for it to get too spooky to handle, and then they come and fix it. And I'm like, great. And then in this movie, I feel like the plot is a little bit more complicated because you have the element of like, oh, we have to check to make sure people aren't faking now because the Amityville thing was so big. So it's like, oh, people are faking now. And I feel like that just like it gets too spooky to handle like 3 times before anybody does anything about it, which
Right.
just feels weird. Because like the first movie, it's the first time it got too spooky to handle, then we like fixed the problem immediately. But we didn't do that this time.
Right. Because, so yeah, I mean, my big thing about these two movies is that they have basically exactly the same structure, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's the Warrens are solving a case. They figure it out, but there is some creepy monster there. Oh well, don't need to think about that for a little while. They hear about this. Anyway, cut to another family somewhere else. They got a spooky house. Eventually, the Warrens catch wind of it, and they're like, maybe we should check it out. They're a little skeptical at first because they're very rational people, and then eventually they show up to investigate and they decide that it is truly a real thing. So they hang out there and try to solve the problem as much as they can while they wait for authorization from the Catholic Church to do something about it. But then, while they're waiting for all the red tape, eventually things get too crazy and they break the rules just a little bit and perform an exorcism to save the day. Like, the two movies function on basically exactly the same like narrative wavelength, you know, which is weird for sure. And I don't know, it brings up this weird question of like, because I like this second one better, even though it's almost exactly the same, because I think it's doing a lot of the things within that better. But for some people, like, it just begs the question, like, if it being does it being unoriginal make it worse, or does it not really matter? You know, if the thing itself is still good, does it matter if it's derivative of something else? You know.
Well, it's different too because it's not derivative of something else. It's derivative of itself. It's not like they're like stealing ideas or being like, oh, this is something that someone else has done before. Like they're stealing from themselves, basically, which is weird. It's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like it's more like that. Like we're just gonna stick with what we know, kinda.
And I think also, like, when it comes to horror movies, like, the plot tends to be similar, especially with, like, these possession, paranormal, like, ooh, something started. Don't play with that Ouija board. We don't believe you. We're going to test it out. Oh, we believe you now.
Yeah.
Here's some Jesus gobbledygook.
Right.
But I think that, like, this
or
one...
he's not here. Ooh.
But, like, what makes this one different is, like, the layering of like spirits and like, oh, I don't know if I believe them, and because I can't feel anything, on top of like, am I personally going to risk my own family's like health and like our unit in order to save this unit? Because I don't think that this is a horror movie. I think that this is a romance movie.
Thank you, Kezia. Thank you. This is
because at the center we got Ed and Lorraine, and their love is strong. Yes. Stronger than a little nun demon.
Of course. See,
and that's why this movie's better.
This is do you guys think that the two Conjuring movies are the best Christian movies ever made?
Yeah.
I think Just Mercy
about the teen boy who falls through the ice and then Jesus brings him back to life or whatever, or black girl with asthma uses Jesus to win the sports game. I think this one's definitely way better than those.
Yeah, Jesus movies are so bad most of the time. What about Soul Surfer, though? Soul Surfer?
Is that an explicitly religious movie?
I mean, they literally... She goes to youth group, and Carrie Underwood is like, oh, why aren't you going to our field trip for God or whatever they're doing? Mission trip. Right. I'm a youth leader. I should know what I'm talking about. And then she's like, I can't. I have to go surf. And then she gets her arm chomped off. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm surfing, but now it's for God. Something. I don't know.
So is that movie... I don't know. I haven't seen it. You can just tell me. Is that movie better than The Conjuring 2?
No, it's way worse.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, don't exclude it from the list.
All right. Did I ever tell you about how one time I was just hanging around downtown Spokane and this guy just handed me a free movie ticket to Heaven is for Real. Because he was just like, apparently their church had like bought a whole bunch of tickets because they liked the movie so much and were just like handing them out to people. And I was, it was summertime. I was 16. I didn't have anything going on. So I was just like, sure, yeah, I'll hang around 45 minutes and go see Heaven is for Real. And like, so this kid has a life-threatening event where he nearly dies and sees heaven, right? And he starts telling everybody all about what he saw in heaven, and the people just can't wrap their minds around it because it challenges their view of religion, right? They're like, oh man, like how could that be? Like that, this kid's lying, but he really did see God according to them. But the thing about it is that, like, the things that kid describes in the movie are like, there were these pearly gates and angels and clouds, and I got to see Jesus and talk to him, and it was like the literal most traditional view of heaven ever. And for some reason that like shook like certain Christians to their core in the fiction of this movie, that such a thing could be the truth. And I still think about that years later. Like, I'm trying to figure out why that was a problem for people.
Yeah, so wait, what did they think that heaven was?
Yeah, I don't know. I truly don't know.
I like to believe that they thought it was, like, really abstract, and when he was like, no, it's literal, they were just like, oh, fuck.
They're like, oh, I really thought heaven was just, like, the concept of being one with Jesus. But it's sitting on a cloud.
My favorite thing about The Conjuring is that moment. Well, The Conjuring in relation to Jesus is that one moment where they're talking about the nun, and they're like, I think this is a warning from God that if we keep doing what we're doing, then you're gonna die. And it's like, I think Jesus would send you the spookiest nun possible to convey a message to you.
Yeah, I think that I agree. The Conjuring movies are the strongest Christian films. Yeah. Because there's that part where she was like, oh, I don't think we should go because you're gonna die via poke through the chest.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's like, no, I think that God gave you these gifts because you're gonna protect people with them, and they're for a reason and a purpose. Yeah. Like, oh.
I just like to imagine God like looking down his list of like, okay, so I want to convey this idea to someone. What can I do? It's like, use the people and the situation around them in order to convey an idea. No. Send down a human-looking angel. No. Send down one of my freaky, crazy monster angels. No. Scary nun. That to kill you? Yeah, that one. That's the one I'll say.
Maybe that's what the angel Gabriel looked like.
He just looks like the nun.
The nun?
Yes.
Do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid
of that, bro.
They're like, oh my god, this creepy ass nun. Like, I'm
scared. Like, Mary, you're pregnant. She's like, oh fuck, dude. I don't know what you are. You're just this person in all black.
Why does the nun sound like she's from the Bronx for you?
Because she is.
You're in you're like 1 BC and you're in Jerusalem. And then somebody starts talking to you. They're dressed in all black because you don't know what a nun is yet. Right. And they also speak like they're from the Bronx because you don't know what the Bronx is yet. Right. I think that would be the scariest thing possible.
So yeah, I mean, like we said, this movie, I love these two Conjuring movies because not only do I think that they are like genuinely Christian movies in a way that is cool and responsible and interesting, like in a way that appeals to me very personally, but also they're very character forward. Like you said, this movie's honestly like more of a romance movie than anything outside of like horror, quote unquote. Just in terms of like what the characters do and how they interact with each other. Like the relationship between Ed and Lorraine is very front and center in this thing, which I think is such a cool and interesting take on a horror movie, and one that I think is really cool. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I grew up with a dad who was a pastor, who was also cool, right?
Yeah, our dad's cool.
Motorcycle.
Cool dad who is a pastor, coupled with the fact that I met my hopefully lifelong partner when I was 16. I've been in that long relationship ever since then. So, like, horror movie about cool clergy people who are nice and good, who are also a long-term domestic couple who are just figuring out their issues in the like lifelong period of their relationship rather than a story about them getting together like a lot of romances are. It's like it's like if you like looked at my brain and was like, here's how we could hit Jackson McMurray the hardest with a movie. Right? It's like literally like based around my personal life experience. This movie is like more representation for me personally than like any other movie I can think of.
I really identify with the Crooked Man, honestly. He's big, and he's tall, and he's got a funny little hat.
Yeah.
And he used to be a dog.
He used to be a dog. Okay, so here, my biggest problem with this movie, and it's not really a problem, it's also with like most like real life stories of like ghosts and hauntings, is that it's always the Spider-Man 3 problem, where there's too many fucking guys there, and I can't care about any of them. Like, it's one ghost too many. Because in real life, that always happens. Like, I've watched a lot of BuzzFeed Unsolved, and whenever they go to a haunted house, they're like, oh, it's this ghost. No, it's this ghost. No, it's shadow people. No, it's a demon. It's always like 5 things at once. And it makes me believe what we're doing less, because it's just fucking anything and everything. I think this movie, as much as I like the Hangman, or the Crooked Man, I really like his design. He's also not particularly scary.
No, not really.
But I don't know that he needed to be here, because he's not here a lot of the time. He doesn't really do anything, and he's just like, he's the third ghost in this movie.
Right.
Like, I don't think he needed to be here, you know?
But you've got to remember that they're all the same ghost. It's all Valak, the nun, manipulating shit. That's sort of the twist, is that actually there was only ever one bad guy. Which I think makes up for it, for me personally. Like, I would agree with you if it were just that there were 4 different ghosts, but there's not. There's just one who's just the ringleader.
And, like, they do say, they're like, hey, these ghosts are like bullies, and they're going to try and divide and conquer on you. And so each of the kids kind of has, like, a little moment with the ghost.
Right.
Where it's like, ooh, you're afraid of speaking in public, and now there's the Crooked Man who is supposed to help you, but he's not.
Like Bill and Ted going to hell.
No, there's this singing guy.
They're like, ooh, your bed's shaking, and your sister's chasing you with knives. Personalized.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I picked up, is that, like, it's meant that, like, that was part of the theme, is that family is stronger together, but this ghost is trying to divide and conquer based off of their specific tastes.
Their aesthetics.
Right.
I do like how, even though we have a lot of ghosts, I like how they're all kind of treated differently, and they feel different, even though the twist is that it's all the one nun demon. But, like, it's, like, I think the Hangman is definitely the one, I keep saying the Hangman, I don't know what that is, the Crooked Man. Is that he's like the most physical. He's just like, hey, I'm here. He's more of a monster than like a ghost.
Right.
But like, which makes him less scary, I think, because you just like see him and he's there and he's spooky, but there's no like suspense to it. It's just like, he's here and now we have to deal with it, you know? But like, the way that he like moves and he's like kind of stop motion-y is just like so cool. And he sings his funny little song about murdering his family. He's good. I like him.
At least for me, I feel like this movie has 2 different ghosts that are very scary. Like, Bill Wilkinson and the nun both are fucking freaky, and the scenes that they're in are pretty challenging. So, to me, I think, like, having the Hanged Man, who's less, like, actually upsetting and more, like, just kind of badass, it's like, it's a different effect for me that I appreciate in a different way. It's like, oh, that's sick as hell. Like, look at this big, creepy, weird stop-motion guy. This is the only movie, like, post-1990 that... I don't think it's actually stop-motion, but he runs at a lower frame rate than everything else around him.
Yeah.
And, like, nobody ever does that on purpose. Yeah. Like, we always talk about how Terminator, like, the stop-motion Terminator is so scary, but then when they cut into the close-up and it's, like, regular frame rate, like, prop arm moving around... it
Yeah.
ruins the whole thing. Like, it would be so much scarier if the Terminator was just at a lower frame rate than everything around him all the time, you know?
Yeah.
And this movie, like, goes for it. They're like, yeah, the Crooked Man just doesn't seem to, like, run at the same frame rate as anything else. That's part of what's
Yeah.
creepy
Well,
about
but
him. He looks like a
it's
weird
so
stop
cool
motion
because he's
guy.
yeah, because he's the little like rotoscope guy that he has that little
Mhm.
toy that it's like that. So when he comes out of the toy and he's at like the lower frames per second because he's based on the toy that's a lower frames per second. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is cool.
It's sick.
He's my favorite part of the movie. I don't think he should be in the movie, but he's my favorite part.
Yeah,
of
he
the movie.
rules. Eggman's great.
Yeah.
Crooked Man.
I don't know. Because I felt myself being like, oh, there's too many ghosts in this movie. Why are they doing this? But like the whole point is that like they got you. They got me good. I forgot that there was only one ghost, or like the one other ghost was being manipulated like a little puppet.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's spooky.
Yeah, well, because I wrote down that I think it's cool that the first time we like talk about the nun and see the nun, that she's just like there, like she's just like walking around, and then she does like creepy stuff with like the painting and like being in the shadows and kind of manipulating the space. But like she's really physical and really there in a way that makes her seem really imposing, even when she isn't there anymore, when she's doing something spooky.
Right.
And I feel the same way kind of about Bill Wilkins. Like we see him quite a bit for a ghost, because like in the first Conjuring we basically didn't really see any of the ghosts
Right.
till like way late in the game, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we see Bill Wilkins a lot, and at first I didn't like that we saw him a good number of times, because I was like, it weirdly humanizes the ghost when you see them and they're just kind of a dude. Like he's a scary dude, but he's still just a dude, you know. And like, I mean, there is a fear factor of like a person coming to hurt you, but I was like, this kind of humanizes him a little bit in a way that makes me be like, just chill, it's Billy. But then I'm not complaining about it, because then at the end of the movie we're like, oh, Bill Wilkins was just a nice ghost, but then the demon's using him like as a puppet, and that's why he's all scary. And you're like, oh, it's cool that I like every time I saw him, I was like, but it's just an old man.
I don't know. I think the scene where she's sitting in the chair, which also, side note, that brown leather chair is one of the most accurate props I've ever seen of like
Oh yeah.
an old grandpa chair that's just torn up,
Right.
but they don't get rid of it for some reason.
Yeah.
But like when she's sitting in the chair and she has the water in her mouth and they all turn away and there's just like a really obvious shot of Ed and he's talking to him and you can see the silhouette change, but you never see his like actual face.
It's pretty sick.
And you're like, I just want to just show it to me. And they never do. Like, I can't really think of a lot of other movies that would just full on half the screen is the ghost, but we are not gonna let you see it in
Right, yeah.
focus.
Here's the ghost, but you can't look at it.
And that's the thing about these two movies, is that they're both like so well directed. James Wan is like really like laying it all out in these movies. There's something about it that is so confident. Like, I feel like Conjuring 1 is a lot more sort of meat and potatoes in terms of like its directing decisions. Like, it's all like pretty straightforward stuff. Like, there's a lot of like long shots that are a little bit fancy, but for the most part, it's just like quietly a very well directed film. Whereas this one, I feel like is a little bit flashier. Like, I think about the like, I mean, like that shot in particular, that really long shot, not long shot, I should say, that really time-wise, that really long shot where you just see Patrick Wilson's face. It's like one unbroken shot. The whole scene is like a dialogue scene that's done in one setup, which is really cool. And really, like, in terms of like acting, is a not undifficult thing. That was stupid. In terms of acting, is a very difficult thing to do also. But I also think of like that opening where you're going through like that whole like Lorraine nightmare sequence where she's having this weird fever dream where she is like embodying the Amityville killer and like shooting all those people. Is like really surreal and weird and has a lot of like really specific like stylistic choices in it that I think go a long way for me. In a way, I feel like that sequence kind of teaches you how to watch the movie, in the sense that, like, you know, Conjuring 1, that was the Conjuring 1. Conjuring 2, This one's gonna be kind of bigger and weirder, and I hope that's cool with you guys.
And it looks like less literal too.
Exactly, yeah. It's like showing you right up front, like, hey, this one's gonna be a little bit crazier. And I'm gonna show you something that's pretty crazy right up front, just so you're like prepared for when it gets pretty crazy later, like way crazier than the last one.
Okay, so I am confused, and I was texting you guys while I was watching the movie. So, the first Conjuring movie, that is not the Amityville incident,
No.
is it?
No, it is not.
Okay. The Amityville incident is that guy killing the family, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. The movie didn't establish that enough, so when they kept talking about Amityville, I kept thinking they were talking about the first Conjuring, and then I was confused, because I was like, wait, that dad didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, it was a different thing. Because it almost feels like when you wait until the third season of Daredevil to introduce Bullseye, like because Ed and Lorraine Warren were like involved in the real life Amityville event. It almost feels like, oh, we're not gonna put the Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1. We're gonna make you wait for it. It almost feels like that. It's like, oh, you want us to do the Amityville thing, but we're gonna save that for later to keep you coming back. It's just funny that this real life tragedy is almost treated like a weird sort of pop culture property now, because there have been so many different weird movies built around it.
Yeah.
It's true. I think that's the hard thing.
General are weird just in general, because it's like, especially when they're based off of like real life. Like they're like watching the movie, I'm like, I know nobody's gonna die because this is a real life, based on real life events at least, and nobody in the history of ever has ever been murdered by a ghost, at least officially, legally, nobody's ever been murdered by a ghost. So it's like, yeah, if Ed Warren got a tree through his abdomen, it'd be like, okay, well, we would know that ghosts exist because a tree got propelled through a brick wall into his chest. So I think we kind of know now. Like, it doesn't take me out of it a little bit when it's on true events, but I do kind of always have to keep that in mind, because it's like, oh, this might be scary, but there are some like rules that still has to follow because it's based on real life,
But people do die under suspicious circumstances a lot. Like,
yeah, but
I mean, even think of the Amityville thing. Like, that whole family died. Like,
that's fair.
Or even if Ed Warren did die with a spiky through the chest, they wouldn't be like, a ghost pushed him. They'd be like, oh,
right,
oh
yeah.
Weird.
Weird, huh?
But like, I think that's the biggest reason. Like, it seems like the kind of thing like, oh, when are you gonna do Amityville? But I don't think it would ever be a good idea to base a Conjuring movie around the Amityville thing, because these Conjuring movies have happy endings. That's like fundamentally what I like about them. They're very like ultimately like wholesome, family-oriented movies,
Yeah.
And like, if one of these Conjuring movies ended with, and then the dad killed everyone with a shotgun, it'll be like, nah, no, actually, I didn't like that part of it, if you don't mind, like, no thanks.
Well, what if the Warrens still slow danced after? Would that fix it?
Probably not.
Well, that's what I really like about... Oh.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I thought I lost. I heard a little ding, ding, ding. That's what I like about this movie, is that they, at the very beginning, they're like, you want Amityville? Well, we're not going to give it to you. This is as much as you get. And then they're like playing with the fallout like of the Warrens and how they've become famous because of this, and now they don't know what to commit to because there are so many fakes. But then also like the meta context of like, you're expecting Amityville and you know what's exactly going to happen. Well, we're not going to give you that either.
Right. Yeah.
You get this weird Jesus mishmash.
Right. One of the things I like. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. These are my two biggest criticisms of this movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, every British accent in it is bad.
Yeah.
Definitely none of these actors are British, and definitely all of them suck ass at doing a British accent.
The mom's like Irish half the time.
That is a rather challenging element of this movie to push through.
She's like,
I
get
will
out
admit.
the house.
London, it's hard.
It's
That'd
pretty.
be in London.
Yeah, like I can't overestimate how much basically nobody really really sells their English accent in this movie.
No.
But also like the first movie, they have that whole like little crew of ghost hunters that they establish.
Yeah.
They've got like their whole little family sort of, and there's like I don't know. I just
Like, one
remember.
of them's like a skeptic who's just here to be like muscle and
Yeah.
like keep people safe, and like one of them like really believes in the stuff. It's like it's fun to have our little Ghostbusters crew.
Yeah, and then none of them come back in the second one. It's just like
Yeah.
they can't afford
Well,
to go
no,
to
they got
England.
killed by ghosts in between, and they just don't show you.
Maybe. I'm trying to think. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's any other like big things I want to like criticize about it, like get it out of the way. It's I don't think like even in the context like I said of like the Crooked Man just being cool and me appreciating that on its own terms, I don't think you need to have Ed come up against the Crooked Man also. It's just the kind of thing that's not as interesting the second time you do it, you know?
But I want to see my good friend the Crooked Man again because I think he's cool.
Maybe.
He's my buddy.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the like walk through at the end. Ed faces all of the previous champions.
Right, the tournament arc of Conjuring 2.
I do think. Hold on. I think for the most job, the kids do a pretty good job of like acting. And I don't. The one exception, I think, because I think the main girl, who's like the one that's possessed, I think she does a pretty good job of acting possessed and like being compelling and stuff. I think I don't like the older sister. Am I alone on that? She didn't. She like.
I think she kind of has like Susan from the Chronicles of Narnia
Yeah, she just
problems.
doesn't fucking react to anything. Like, the one who's clearly possessed will be, like, staring into nothing, like, freaking the fuck out. And she's like, oh, what are you doing? That's so weird. And it's like, bitch, you saw her, like, throw your little brother into the sun. Why are you like, not surprised at all, not reacting at all? Like, someone pounds on her door in the middle of the night, and she just, like, gets up, and she's like, oh, what's going on? Like, she just doesn't react to anything, ever.
But I think there is a line to walk there also, in the sense that, like, I wouldn't want to watch a movie that's just, like, teenage girls screaming the whole time. That sounds super irritating. Like, just sonically...
Hold on.
What?
First of all, there's one teenage girl, and it's her. Second of all, I'm not saying she should scream every time anything happens, but I'm saying she should react and be scared. That doesn't mean screaming, that just means acting.
Okay.
I think it's definitely just like the hardest child role, because I feel like all of the other ones are pretty like obvious, like little brother who's tattles on his sister who's possessed, little brother who has a speech impediment, and then there's the older sister, and she doesn't really buy into it, but kind of, because her bed gets shooketh.
Yeah.
Are people still saying shooketh?
All of the children were compelling in the first Conjuring. Like, the actors in the first Conjuring for the kids are really good.
That's
like,
true. The kids are better in the first one.
And she's great. And so when we get here and the kids are kind of basic, kind of kid characters, and like I don't find all of them super compelling. Like the little brother that isn't the one with the speech impediment, like the fact that he gets attacked is the only thing that like keeps him relevant, because like he doesn't do anything.
Wait, gets attacked by the Crooked Man?
No, not that. That's speech impediment.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I don't even remember there being another kid. Are you sure?
He's the one that walks into the kitchen and gets put in the closet, and that's like it.
Are you sure that wasn't speech impediment kid?
No,
there's 4 kids.
Oh man, I only remember 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like the kids are not as compelling as in the first one.
And I think that is also just, there's so much happening in this one that like there isn't as much time to get to know the kids that don't matter.
Right.
Who are not Janet.
Right. And if we want to start going through sort of point by point, I think sometimes on this podcast we can just like sort of freeball it and just like bounce around and talk about whatever follows us. But sometimes I feel like it's better for us to like go through a little bit.
Well, the first thing, when we first started watching the movie and we're going through the Amityville stuff, it's a weird segue into the nun, because I think that's where she sees the first time she sees the vision of the nun. Right. Well, the second time with the first exorcism or whatever. But she follows the little boy around and he's like giggling like a ghost little boy. And I was like, all right, I feel like you're making a mockery of this real life tragedy by putting in the most stereotypical ghost kid giggle, you know? Like, he's like, to the basement. It's like, wow, I wonder if there's something spooky in the basement.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look up what went down at the real life event, because I want to make sure that it was actually like a mass murder.
Yeah. Well, cause
not just constructed for television.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because I don't know when, as a society, we're gonna stop using little kids as like scary bait. Because like, it's the perversion of something innocent that's like what's scary about it. Is it's like, oh, it's a little girl, I can trust her, and then oh no, she's scary, and it's like, oh, children can be corrupted. So like, it is scary, but we've just done it 10 billion times.
Mm-hmm. Or like killing the dog, because that's so sad when the dog dies.
The dog didn't die in this one, which makes it better than the first Conjuring where the dog doesn't die. That's still that dog so fast. Like right out the gate, the Conjuring kills that dog.
It's true.
So yeah, I guess.
Before they kill the dog.
So yeah, I guess the real life Amityville was like a dad sort of going crazy. Presumably, they experienced a lot of like supernatural phenomenon like leading up to it, and then at the end, quote unquote, the dad like shot the 4 kids and the wife, and apparently the dad is still alive and in prison serving 6 life sentences.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Fun.
Scary
movie.
Yeah. Pretty fun thing to blow off in about 10 minutes at the beginning of Conjuring 2.
Conjuring 2, thanks.
But like, is that on the Conjuring 2 if their source material is like Ed and Lorraine, who had something to do with it, and like Amityville has already been like milked to death?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So I'm more mad with the Amityville movie than the Conjuring 2.
I mean, it's just tricky, you know. It depends on how you're framing it, because I don't think there's anything necessarily disrespectful about the way Conjuring 2 handles it, besides maybe sort of because like. If anything, the real function of the Amityville story in this movie is just to say, like, this is when the Warrens, like, sort of became a name that people might know. Like, now in this movie, moving forward, they have, like, a reputation to uphold, now more than ever before. Like, they're in the public eye and facing the scrutiny of the public now.
And I also think it's, like, the Warrens have also seen a lot of fucked up stuff, and they're kind of getting tired of all the fucked up stuff. So I think, starting with the Amityville, like, it's a terrible tragedy, and the Warrens are like, hey, this is a terrible tragedy that really took a toll on us, so we should probably stop doing this for a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah, it's... So, I don't know, it's a little bit... It's weird. But then, on the other hand, I think about, like, you know, the fact that it is sort of just... I'm trying to think of exactly what I'm trying to say. I don't know. There's something weird about the fact that it is so small. Like, it feels like it's not I mean, it is an important part of the story in a certain kind of way, but it's not necessarily what the movie's about, and the fact that it's dealt with so quickly when it was a real-life tragedy rubs me a little bit the wrong way. But it definitely could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is kind of a dark thing to say, but, like, who gets royalties for the Amityville story? Does the dad in prison get paid royalties when they talk about the story?
What are life rights?
Does he own that? I don't think... Is that how that functions? If like someone told,
like, it's his name and life, I feel like he has to give the rights, right?
Yeah. But I don't know how that breaks down when you are serving 6 consecutive life sentences in prison, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
That's a good question.
Like,
I
if
don't
he-
know.
Because, like, if he's in charge of the story, of course he's only gonna do the stories that paint him as if he's innocent, you know?
I'm Googling Amityville
Well-
royalties.
I don't know. I think that, like, this is one of the most respectful ways that they could have brought up Amityville, and I don't think that this story could exist in the way that it does, like, thematically, if they didn't at least address it in the beginning of the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, it is the fallout of, like, how are we supposed to keep doing this when it seems like everything we face is just so that people can be famous. That's like the TV scene that they're on, and like
Right.
Ed gets all fired up, and then like they're very clearly, like, I think that the Warrens like very much believe that this family isn't lying, but then they're like, but they could just be doing everything they can to make it famous. So like, what is the right thing to do? And
Mhm.
are we wasting our time? And are we risking our own safety
Yeah.
to like perpetuate this horrible thing that people think that they can become famous from something that was a
Yeah.
tragedy?
Right.
I do think the only way that the Amityville doesn't fit into that theming is that the story became famous and like the Warrens became famous, but like nobody profited off of Amity, as we're trying to figure out. Like nobody became like famous because the dad went to jail and everybody else was dead. Like nobody profited off of them coming and being like, "Hey, this is real," you know?
Right.
Like it's like, oh,
Mhm.
this was real and people got hurt, so like every situation is an emergency. It feels like because of Amityville, it feels like when they get to the London house, they should immediately just be like, all right, we gotta fix this now because or else somebody's gonna die, like in Amityville. But versus they're like, oh, but what if they're faking? But we saw in Amityville was not faked at all, so it's weird that they think that.
Right.
This is why you needed to watch The Nun chronologically,
Right.
because that's like the whole plot of The Nun is that they send people from the church, but they're not going to address it as like an exorcism unless they full on know it's an exorcism, because like that's the only way that the Catholic Church will get involved officially. And I think that's what they were like, if things had gone according to plan, they would have just had like a priest come and bless the house or whatever instead
Right.
of
Yeah.
like Ed and Lorraine from the United States.
Right.
Not
Is that
from
the plot of the
Vatican,
Nun? Are
even
you
a little
super
bit.
sure?
Well, that's why like they like the mini nun, the postulant, is that what it's called?
I don't know.
What she's called? That's why she and the like priest go to the church, because they're like, oh, we got to make sure that this is happening and not just a lie.
Oh. I don't
Kind
remember
of.
the plot of that movie at all.
I've seen that movie twice.
Me too.
And
I mean, look, I like The Nun. I'll stick up for The Nun. I don't remember like a GD thing about like the actual goings on of the plot in that movie.
yeah, because like all of the
Might be a
nuns
bad movie,
die,
actually.
and there's a nun that like kills herself at the beginning, and they're like, we gotta go check this out because this is the biggest sin,
Right, I
and we have
remember
to make sure
that.
this is a real sin.
Right. So yeah,
And
okay,
then-
yeah, anyway. Should we do more Conjuring movies? There's just like I don't think there's anything in the Conjuring verse that you wouldn't be able to handle if you could handle Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
Because
I
there's the
see-
3 Annabelles.
I don't give a flying flip about the Annabelles. I'm gonna be
The second one's
honest.
pretty okay. The third one blows, and the first one I haven't ever seen.
I just feel like people were like, oh, creepy doll. Remember Chucky? This one happened in real life.
We would also
On
have to
the
do
hill.
The Curse of La Llorona also.
Which feels like
Is that
cultural
in the
appropriation.
Conjuring verse?
No one,
Yes.
I haven't heard anybody with that take, but I'm uncomfortable with the Curse of La Llorona.
Well,
Yeah,
it
we
is.
have
It's
talked about
connected
this
to the
before.
Conjuring universe via a post-credit scene. I have not seen it, but that is the whole idea.
That's BS.
Oh, it's
Presumably-
kind of like split.
Yeah, what I have heard is that Blumhouse, not Blumhouse. Is it Warner Brothers that does the Conjuring movies?
A24?
No.
Yeah, it's It's the Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers had like 2 or 3 other like horror spec scripts that they just bought from people, like Cloverfield style, that they were gonna like shoehorn Conjuring stuff into, so they could be like, oh, part of the Conjuring verse, like tangentially.
But that's stupid,
but
because
then-
the whole point of the Conjuring is that it's real things that happened.
But then once Curse of La Llorona like didn't do super hot, they were just like, actually, probably we can get away with not doing that, and they backed out of that one because that's what Curse of La Llorona was. It was like a horror movie that they were already gonna make, and they were like, what if we put some stuff in there that made it connected, so we could put the Conjuring on the poster and get some more butts and seats.
That's stupid. I hate that.
But it's cool when Cloverfield does it though.
But that's different. The point of Cloverfield isn't, oh, we're taking a collection of real happenings and making a movie out of them. And then suddenly it wasn't real anymore.
My biggest disappointment with the Cloverfield franchise is how many times they've chickened out. Because...
They don't go apeshit.
Well, because, Cloverfield was cool and there were like 10 Cloverfield lanes, seemingly completely unrelated. That's weird. And then, reportedly... A Quiet Place and Overlord were both supposed to be Cloverfield movies, but they just decided not to, like, at the last second. And it's like, fuck off. That would have ruled if those were Cloverfield movies.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to mean anything. Have it be this weird anthology that's sort of, like, thematically tied together with, like, scary aliens,
Yeah.
Like, it would be totally cool if Quiet Place was called... fucking Cloverfield o'clock or whatever.
It's not too late.
Yeah. In my head, the Cloverfield... This one's called... Wait. This one's called...
Quiet Field.
No. This one's called... Cloverfield.
Good one.
That's what it's called.
Good job.
But in my head canon, Overlord and Quiet Place are Cloverfield canon.
Yeah, more valid, Jackson.
Are they still... What's up with Cloverfield lately? Are they still going forward on any of those?
Who knows?
I think anything's going forward right now. So anything could go forward right now.
Yeah,
It seems like they're not... It seems like they're not really going forward on Cloverfield anymore. God damn it. I'm the only person in the world who likes Cloverfield Paradox, and that's the most disappointing thing in the world to me.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll have like a Jurassic Park resurgence in 20 years after people don't feel as tired.
Yeah,
and they're
maybe.
like, oh, we don't want
have
any
some
more
Conjuring
dinosaur movies. And then we'll be like, oh yeah, bring back more of the spooky space aliens. We can't wait. Chris Pratt starring in this one.
Because, like...
He's 90.
I just remember, like... Because the original Cloverfield had this super weird marketing campaign where, like, they had, like, posters and trailers and stuff, but they never, like, said the name of the movie or, like, really much of what it was about. It was just super mysterious and weird until it dropped in theaters and people saw it. And we were like, it's called Cloverfield. What? It was, like, this crazy weird thing. And then, like, I don't think 10 Cloverfield Lane had any especially weird marketing stuff, but just the fact that it was called 10 Cloverfield Lane was kind of weird enough, where people were like, how is this? Is this connected? Like, what is this? And then Cloverfield Paradox, like, it wasn't a complete surprise because, like, people had said, like, oh, there is a third Cloverfield movie in production. It has this director and this is the cast. And they shot it, and we haven't heard anything about it. So people were kind of like, oh, I'm hoping they'll drop a trailer or sometime pretty soon. And then during the Super Bowl, they were like, blam, it's on Netflix right now. Everyone was like, oh, shit! And then it sucked, but I liked it, so fuck you guys. So, but, like,
I never said I hated Cloverfield.
But, like, the fact, and they kept saying, like, and there is another Cloverfield movie in development that they've shot. That is, like, set in World War II, that ended up being Overlord. But because I knew that, like, I feel like everybody who was excited about it was like, Cloverfield 4, like, literally could happen at any moment. Like, because we know it's been filmed and we know it exists and it's out there. And, like, I felt like for a while I was just constantly being like, someone's just gonna, like, find Cloverfield 4 and, like, put it online at some point, and we're not gonna see it coming. at all. But then eventually they were just like, oh yeah, we decided it's not going to be a Cloverfield movie anymore, and it's going to be a regular movie called Overlord. And I was so bummed about it. And I want more Cloverfield stuff because it's awesome.
Maybe Cloverfield will transition to Quibi.
Maybe. I would, you know what? If they were going to do the Cloverfield, I'm trying to think of a funny name for a Cloverfield movie based on the naming convention. If Quibi was like, hey guys, check out our new television show, the
Clover Weird.
Cloverfield. I like Cloverfield O'Clock still. Yeah.
Okay.
We're coming out with a TV show called Cloverfield O'Clock. I'd probably get Quibi for that. I would show up to Quibi for Cloverfield O'Clock.
That's fair. I feel like Quibi would turn it into kind of like a Marble Hornets kind of thing.
Right.
Where you're like, wow, we can't believe we're still surviving here in this Cloverfield with these giant space monsters.
Right. I watched Marble Hornets for the first time, like, probably like a year and a half ago, because it scared me when I was in, like, middle school when it was, like, a big thing. And, hey, Marble Hornets is not really all that scary or good, it turns out.
It's surprising that...
of videos.
I can't believe that a scary anthology from 2012 on YouTube wasn't that good.
Yeah. Because, like, people always said, like, obviously there were, like, certain ones that were more famous. People were always like, oh, it's so scary, it's so crazy, and there's, like, this mythology and, like, all this crazy shit. And I was always like, Slender Man kind of freaks me out. I'm just gonna not ever engage with that. And then now that I'm an adult and I can handle my shit, I was like, oh, man, Marble Hornets, let's see, that seems pretty scary. Obviously, it launched Slender Man into a cultural piece of iconography that's never going away. It must be pretty exciting. And then it was just, like, mostly boring. It was just, like, 98% boring.
Not fair.
I think it's the reality.
Slenderman, the video game, is still scary. Like, when you play it, that's not fair. Like, it has no goddamn right to be scary still. The graphics look like shit. Slenderman will, like, spawn, like, halfway through a wall. But god fucking
That's
damn
what
it,
makes it
every
scary.
time you pick up a note and you're like, oh fucking god damn it, the Slenderman is probably behind me, it's so fucking scary.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Not...
I think that's what made it scary, like Marble Hornets back then, was that it was like, ooh, is this real or is it not real? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is someone really posting this? And like, my friend Tegan, she's super scared of like demons and stuff. Like, she full on believes in like demons and ghosts and exorcisms and stuff.
Right.
So I watched this movie with her and she freaked out. Like, she was like, that's the scariest part, is that this is really happening. So that's my tie-in back to the Conjuring.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I have a weird... I think a lot about the whole, like, based on a true story, quote-unquote, nature of these two movies. Because, like, obviously there's some wiggle room there, right?
Yeah.
Because it was a true event in a certain way of speaking. The fact that it was literally a supernatural demonic force obviously is up for debate. Yeah. But, like, you know... And I know very, very little about the real life events. I've heard some people have the take that, like, the Warrens are fucking con artists and despicable people who are, like, profiting off of people's fears and, like, just riling them up to get paid to do exorcisms, quote unquote, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely no idea how valid that is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, and I probably never will, because it happened fucking 50 years ago, and who's to say?
Yeah, exactly. There's no reliable account, basically.
Right.
It's either the people who are there and want you to think that it's spooky, or people who are like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's also like, how much of that is people who just have a hard line in the sand in their lives, where they just do not believe in any kind of supernatural anything ever. So the only possibility is that the Warrens were fucking assholes.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is also the argument to be made that if they and the people involved in this whole thing truly believe in what they're doing, maybe they're just doing them and misinformed, and
well,
you know.
It's like even if every single person involved believes what they saw, it still doesn't mean that it's true, you know. Like, even if they all genuinely believe it, it doesn't mean that it's true. Because group hallucinations happen all the goddamn time.
Right.
But also, I don't think that, like, whether or not this movie is true or false, like, takes anything away from me personally.
No, not at all.
Like, I still think it's just a good time. It's a well filmed movie, and I was big into horror movies for a really long time in like middle school, and I've seen every trash, terrible horror movie you could see, and this one is good.
Yeah,
including Circus Cage.
That makes me feel good.
But yeah, so that's the thing about these movies, though, is that it makes me. These movies and the way they present their characters is so effective and charming that in real life, I'm like, oh, the Warrens, I love the Warrens. Like, I want to learn all about them, and like, they seem cool. I want to like meet them and be friends with them, you know? But I have to kind of remind myself that like, I have no fucking idea, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this probably has very little bearing on the real life events that it's adapting, quote unquote.
A while ago, I'm the fucking worst at reading books, so I haven't read actually, but I got a biography of Walt Disney, because I was like, you always hear that either Walt Disney was like the coolest dude on the whole planet, or he was the literal devil, and there's no in between. And I was like, I'm gonna do some like more like research to see if I can like kind of get more of a grip on who Walt Disney was as a person. And surprise, there's no way to do that. There's just none. Like, everything that's written about him is either written from the perspective that he is God, or is written from the perspective that he is the devil. And I think it's kind of the same situation where it's like, it was so long ago, and you can't really get like any real context to the situation anymore. So it's like, who knows?
Yeah. It's also like they're just real people, and sometimes real people suck and they're super selfish, but then also sometimes they really care about stuff. Like, I think that Walt Disney was a greedy capitalist, but he also really cared about making like quality films.
Yeah, he was an artist.
Transcending. Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna change the way films are made.
I
that was
think
my
people
make me laugh.
are usually shitty, but not in the evil way that we assume that people are shitty, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, he had a grand plan to be shitty the whole time. It's like, no, like, he did something selfish, or he made a choice, or he did something bad. Like, you know, like, people aren't two-dimensional. People have a lot of gray areas. So even if somebody was shitty, it's not just like they were shitty in a human way, not in a cartoon villain way, you know?
You go back in time to like 1901.
Even if the Warrens were, like, even if sometimes they didn't fully believe in the situation or were playing it up or whatever, it's like, I don't think they were, like, masterminding criminals in order to scam people. I think sometimes they just might have done shitty stuff because they're human people, and sometimes people do shitty things, you know?
I like to imagine you go back in time to, like, 1901, and you find, like, 20-year-old Walt Disney, and he's like, I've got this grand plan. I'm gonna become an animator. And I'm going to write this movie all about how slavery was cool, actually. And you're like, oh, that's the end game for you?
But it's through the perspective of bunnies. I think that's what he did. And everyone around him was like...
What was up with that? Am I right?
Oh, well.
Can we all agree? What the fuck was up with that?
It's also just real boring.
Yeah.
It's like not even entertaining.
Have you watched it? I haven't watched it.
I remember it was like on one time when I was like 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. So there's that. It might be my 8 or 9-year-old brain that can't comprehend like the nuance of film.
Right.
But I just remember like nothing happening, and like it was about someone else telling a story of something else. And who cares when you could be watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
Right, fair enough.
Or The Little Mermaid.
School, during elementary school, we would just like randomly watch the Disney Paul Bunyan and what's the name of the guy who beat the train drilling through the mountain? What the fuck is his name?
John Henry. Why could you not remember the name of John Henry?
Because it's two basic-ass names slammed together. I guess it'd be like, oh, John Smith. No, it's John Henry. Or Joseph Smith, whatever. They're all basic, whatever. John Henry. Like, we would, like, watch that animation, and then, like, the Paul Bunyan animation, and like the Headless Horseman animation, and I feel like the South was just like whatever VHS that was. That just had like the collection of Disney like shorts, you know.
No, I think it was a feature-length film.
The John Henry?
No, Song of the South.
Song of the South? Is it a full movie? Maybe I haven't seen it.
Well, it's a feature-length film, but there's like little mini like I'm gonna tell different stories about my friend Briar Rabbit and blah blah blah.
Gotcha.
So
We're gonna
when
go
I
collect water.
When I Google Song of the South, one of the first things that comes up is a YouTube video entitled, quote, "Is this racist?" Question mark? Song of the South clip. And I can almost guarantee the answer is yes.
Yeah, we have all decided that yes.
I mean, I don't know what clip it is in particular, but pretty certain answer is resounding yeah.
As a society, we have decided yes.
Okay, can I tell you something?
Fair.
Song of the South has a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not a good score.
How could that be?
Like,
because the animation's
racism
good.
aside, it can't be good though, because it kind of got erased from society before we started talking about how racist it was again,
Right.
which tells me that's probably not that good.
And it's got, okay, do you want to hear the IMDb rating on this? It's shocking.
7.6 out of 10.
You were so close. 7.1.
Oh my gosh.
That's too high.
Should I look at these reviews or should I just steer this train away?
Just take a little peek, and if it's super racist, we can just move on.
Let's take a look. How does IMDb do their thing? Is it user? Yeah, this is IMDb users.
Ooh. Ooh.
This is so weird.
Here's the thing. I wonder, though, if, like, Song of the South would... Or if, like, movies are going to be treated the way Song of the South is treated now. Because on Disney Plus, whenever there's, like, a kind of racist thing or whatever, they're like, hey, this is kind of racist towards Chinese people.
Right.
But we're not going to take it off because people like the Aristocats.
Right.
Yeah.
I think maybe like 20 or 30 years from now, we might start to see that with like LGBT stuff. Like, I think maybe, I mean, you know, not like in the next 5 years, obviously, but like way later down the line, we might be like, oh, the Danish girl, like asterisk on this one. Like that one was rough. Or like, you know, I'm trying to think of other examples of things that are just like really egregiously no bueno on that front.
Well, there's a lot. Well, if you watch the Netflix documentary called Disclosure, that's all about trans media and how the ineffectiveness of trans media, they go through a lot, specifically looking at trans media, not just LGBT media. But
right.
Still, it's a lot. Go watch that documentary. It's a really good documentary. I recommend it to like everybody, but just because I found it like so incredibly informative.
Right. And I wonder where we draw that line too, because like, you know, we're at the point where we're like, oh, Song of the South, no good. Like, Gone with the Wind, asterisk. There's something, you know, fishy about this one.
Something hinky going on.
But like, you know, we're not doing that with like 16 Candles yet, you know? Like, yeah. I think we're maybe like 5 years away from looking at 16 Candles and having to like put a disclaimer on that one, you know?
What happens in 16 Candles?
That just has like
Mong Duck Dong.
Yeah, it has like a really infamous, like awful, like Asian comic relief character.
Well, even I don't know. I could talk about like Asian comic relief characters for a really long time. But it's really tricky because it's still not really that frowned upon in like society on the mainstream. Okay. Like I know a lot of Asian people who will get mad, but no one's like, hey, stop watching Two Broke Girls, not because it's bad, but because for some reason they stuck another Asian stereotype, greedy, not being able to speak English, weird name.
I always have a weird relationship with Ken Jeong, because like, I feel like that's his whole thing most of the time. And it's like, he seems really at peace with himself, but it's like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this, you know?
That's what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, not to be a downer on the podcast to talk about racism for a little bit, but like, a lot of people don't like to accept that like, Asian communities and Asian peoples are discriminated against because they like there's like the idea that's like, oh, you're not black or brown, so you can't experience racism, and that kind of erases a lot of people, and it's bad, and you shouldn't think like that because hey, a lot of people experience racism.
I agree. As someone who's never experienced racism.
Yeah,
Ha ha ha, just kidding, I'm Chinese. This is a sound medium, so you can't see my face.
Yes, we could say anything. Oh.
I'm a purple platypus.
Oh shit! Dude, Kezia, as a purple platypus, what's your experience with racism like?
Well, one, I just think that Phineas and Ferb needs to be canceled immediately.
We gotta put an asterisk on Phineas and Ferb.
We're not all spies.
I'm so tired of it.
Anyway, so The Conjuring 2.
So, yeah, okay, hold on, just super quick. Song of the South, these are all user ratings. And this is a curve of user ratings that is deeply baffling to me. Because it's got more 10 out of 10 ratings than any other. It's 22% 10 out of 10 ratings. And
do you think that's like people are joshing though? Like there's some kind of
could be
troll being like, Song of the South, 10 out of 10.
See, I don't think that is the mindset of IMDb users is the thing. Like, I think IMDb is sort of the highest quotient of boomers of any sort of like review aggregate film website.
Well, is it just Southern people being like, hell yeah, Southern pride?
Maybe.
Like,
and look, this is the kind of movie that's really hard to track down, you know?
Yeah.
So if people are watching it, they're watching it on purpose.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I guess if you're going in, like, obviously anybody in the 21st century who's going into Song of the South, like, knows what's up with Song of the South. Yeah. So I can only imagine a lot of people are sort of grading it on a curve in that sense. But, like, I don't know. It's so weird. And because there's no reviews. These are just numbers.
Just numbers? Okay.
And
what about Triumph of the Will? What's that rating?
Triumph of the Will. I'm not familiar with
I'll
that
look
one.
It up. Triumph of the Will is like the Hitler propaganda film.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see.
Like,
I hope it's low.
Birth of a Nation.
7.3 for Triumph of the Will. Even higher than Song of the South. What?
Yeah, no, Jackson, I think these are just trolls. I don't
know.
I think these are neo-Nazis on the internet.
But the thing about it is that it's not a lot of 10 out of 10s and then a dip before you get to the low scores. It's like a pretty regular movie curve, you know? There's a lot of 10s, there's a lot of 9s, there's a lot of 8s, there's a lot of 7s, and then as it gets like way low. And then, you know, there's more 1s than anything before.
Well, are they talking
6.
about like what it is basically?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Like,
that's
as
my
a
theory.
Demonstration of propaganda, is it a 10 out of 10, or are you like, hell yeah, I love Hitler, 10 out of 10? Like, you know, like it's like this is a piece of propaganda and it's illustrating the point perfectly.
Or like this is literally what people base propaganda off of.
Right.
Like, this person said one of the greatest films ever in 2003.
Yikes.
I mean, it must be a really good film if people were like, I kind of like Hitler. Yeah. I'm in.
I mean,
to some extent, yeah, it's effective propaganda.
Yeah, objectively, Triumph of the Will is a pretty sick film. Like,
yeah.
It definitely worked on a whole lot of people.
Though.
Yeah, like this person saying groundbreaking documentary, like no matter what you think of Nazis, hopefully you don't like them. The film is brilliant. It was the first of the kind political documentary. Yeah, so like it changed the way that film is created.
Which is true.
It's like Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Which sucks
is like Song of the South also before Mary Poppins, because that like partially
like person with animated things. Yeah.
Yeah, like that changed the game. Like that's the first time that like animation has been laid over.
That's true.
Like actual people.
Film, anytime anybody does something revolutionary, it's always just like fucking super racist. Why is that always the case?
But just not to actually but people have been doing animation and live action for like a hell of a long time. That's like one of the...
that's what I was asking,
Walt
bro.
Disney.
Yeah. They,
Like the Alice comedies.
Oh, I didn't get that you were asking. I thought you were just saying that it did. I was like, no, yeah. I mean, that's like a old school film technique. Like back in like the 20s and 30s, people were doing.
Yeah, because that was like the first
and...
thing that Walt Disney did was he did the Alice comedies, which was like a little girl running around in an animated space, and it was like, whoa,
right.
look at her go.
Well, then there is no excuse.
Yeah, but like still, like talking about like the Hitler movie as like a great like political documentary, or talking about Birth of the Nation as like the first like edited movie ever, basically. It's
right.
like how like why racist? Why are they so important and racist?
And also, why are you watching this movie? Like, are you watching it because you agree with what it's saying, or it's kind of like Midsommar? Like,
right.
The first time you're like, yeah, she got him, set him on fire, he sucks. And then the second
got
time you
him,
watch,
girl boss.
You're like, oh no, Ari Aster tricked me into like thinking this is a fairy tale, and this is a horrific thing.
Right.
That this girl got brainwashed into killing her boyfriend.
Right, yeah. It's like he wasn't the best boyfriend, but like definitely not like stuff inside a dead bear and set him on fire caliber boyfriend, you know?
Yeah. Like no one should ever murder anyone.
You don't know.
I mean, this might be controversial, but I'm in the camp that murder isn't really cool.
Okay, so we're already kind of running long on this podcast because we did talk about Song of the South and Triumph of the Will for a very long time, but if we are to get back,
needed to be said.
If we are to get back to Conjuring 2, I'm the scene where the girl is in the room. First of all, this movie has sort of a color scheme where, like, in the color grading, like, the reds really pop out. And it has this effect whenever you're looking at the girl, like, the main girl who's, like, scared and crying a lot. It really makes, like, the red of her cheeks and, like, the red around her eyes, like, really pop out in a really sort of creepy way. Which I think is just a super interesting, like, post-production creative decision. But also the scene where she gets sucked through the ceiling into the locked room and all the crosses on the walls like slowly start to turn up into like inverted crosses is so sick. That's like the coolest part of the movie.
Yeah, no, it's sick.
It's an iconic shot for sure.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's on like the Blu-ray cover because it fucking rips. It's so cool. Which I think the same thing about the what's the scene we already brought up? The nun scene is super cool too.
The like picture.
Yeah, where you've got like the shadow walking across the wall.
Or she like turns on the light like right in front of the painting, and so for like a solid like whole second you're like fuck, and then you're like, oh, it's the painting. Like when we were gonna watch this movie, I was like, hey guys, how scary is this? And you're like, oh, if you watch The Conjuring, you're probably fine. And then Jackson was like, oh, the nun scene sucks though. And then I got to the nun scene, I was just like, oh no, the nun. Oh no, the nun.
Not the nun.
Scary.
Anything but the nun.
Anything but the nun.
But yeah, and they do
Annabelle?
They do this weird effect where like when the lights turn on and off, like the painting just changes like a little bit in the dark, like just enough that you can sense the difference, but it still looks mostly the same, and you kind of wonder if it's in your head, you know?
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
It's so scary.
I hate it.
It's so good.
It's so good. Or just like sometimes they're just really large, like black spaces, and like you're just waiting for a ghost to pop out, and it never does.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of horror, or that's like a weird technique that only a few people have really pulled off. I think about The Invisible Man, the one.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, like they pull off this magic trick in that movie, in that like any shot where there's like open space in it, you're just like, fuck, he's in there, isn't he? Like he's gotta be in there. And usually he's not, but sometimes he is. And it's like, you as a viewer have no fucking clue where this invisible guy could be. And I feel like this movie has some similar energy to that. Like, it feels like whenever there's, like, part of the frame in darkness, you're like, what's in there? Like, something's going down over there. And not always the case, but it is the case often enough that it keeps you on the edge of your seat. They set the ticket gets you the whole seat, but you only need the edge.
I watched the movie from my bed, but I was on the edge of my bed.
On the edge of your bed.
Well, you thought you had fallen off your chair, but actually you're sitting on the invisible man.
Or you actually have transitioned to the other side of the wall, and now you're on the ceiling.
Oh no. Fuck. You said something about the ceiling, and I forgot what I was going to say. I think it's interesting the way they sort of incorporate like really specific real life elements in this one in a way that I don't think they did very much for the first one. Like all the stuff about like the recording and like you guys have to turn your backs and I've got water in my mouth, like all that stuff that you like hear on the real tape that they play over the credits, which I think is super sick.
Yeah.
And they show like the pictures that they took like side by side at the end just to like show off like, hey, this is like really pretty much exactly how it went down in certain ways. In a way that I think is super interesting. And that like real life recording of the girl talking in that freaky voice is pretty freaky. Like I'm not gonna lie.
No. Anytime they were like, we did an exorcism and we recorded it, I'm just like, fuck, dude, I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, it's not impossible that like a girl could have been doing that freaky voice to scare people and like, you know, is like committed to her own bit so much that even she doesn't quite know where it stops and ends now because she's 7. Like, I could believe that, but like that voice is pretty, like, I don't know. I don't know if a little girl could really just do that. I don't know. It's super weird. It's fascinating.
Well, it's like,
or are these the stories?
Because I don't remember what the girl's name was or what the court case is. But it's a court case where a girl was quote-unquote possessed by a demon. And so her parents brought in the church and they did exorcism after exorcism after exorcism. And then the girl died. And so they got brought on child, like abusing the child basically. But so that's like the only court case that has like ever acknowledged the existence of like a demon or whatever.
Right.
But I think the problem with it is that they never took her to the hospital, despite the fact that she like wasn't eating and wasn't drinking water and was basically having seizures every day. They just repeatedly like called in a priest and had exorcism after exorcism. And there are like those scary tapes of her like doing a terrifying voice and being like, I'm in here, I'm the demon, you can't have her back, like that kind of thing.
Right.
And I think the parents got, so legally demons don't exist because the parents got put in jail, I think. But it was like, well, it's because they were just gaslighting their daughter basically, where she's having seizures and she's like out of her mind, and then they're just having somebody exercising her every day, basically being like, hey, there's a demon in you. So eventually she just like started to believe it. Like, when does that kind of like come into play, especially with like children being quote-unquote possessed by demons? Like, at what point are you kind of just gaslighting your kid, basically, like intentionally or unintentionally, you know?
Maybe in like 200 years, historians will be like, remember the Salem witch trials? Well, these were the Ed and Lorraine ghost hunter trials. I don't know. I couldn't think of something to talk about. But like, it'll be similar. Or maybe in 200 years, they'll be like, they were right. Or probably not, because the world won't exist then.
We gotta acknowledge the like the fucking guitar scene that's so good.
Yeah.
Where it's just like Ed and Lorraine like showing up and just like having a good time with the family and like talking to them and hanging out and like being good like parents, quote unquote, and like doing a goofy Elvis voice and singing about love, and you're like, fuck, this rules. That like makes me tear up every time.
Yeah. The only problem that I have with that scene, and I guess how the movie kind of forces the Warrens kind of into a parenting role of these children, is that like obviously the reason why they like glom onto Ed so much is because their dad is gone. So obviously he is a positive male figure. But they don't talk about the Warrens' kid. Like,
yeah, no, that
at
lady.
all. She's barely in this movie.
That girl does not show up in any meaningful way in
because we're
either of these
focusing so much
movies.
on like their relationship and their family and like putting their lives at risk, and their daughter just like isn't in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like to assume she's just fucking going to school, like just doing
Wow. Her father's bonding with other children.
Yeah.
I wish that this had been like a Rocky 3 kind of situation where they just take her and start training her to be a ghost hunter.
Yeah.
They're like, this one's your fight, Judy.
Maybe that'll be Conjuring 3. Okay, I gotta talk
Punch
about
that
Conjuring 3
ghost.
for a sec. Because it's one of these movies that's been like gestating for so long. And it was supposed to come out like this summer, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's not directed by James Wan.
Oh,
Which
bad. It's gonna be bad.
is literally like the only thing that keeps me coming back to these things, right?
Yeah.
Like for so long, I felt like I wanted to really keep up with the Conjuring spin-offs because I was like, look, obviously the thing that I care the most about in these is like how well directed the Conjuring movies are. Like I'm so on board with these James Wan Conjuring movies. And, you know, I'll go see Annabelle Creation, I'll go see The Nun, because I'm invested in this thing because I'm so excited for Conjuring 3, like whenever that happens way down the road. But eventually they announced that like some other guy, like obviously James Wan's still going to be like a producer or whatever, but like when they announced that James Wan wasn't doing Conjuring 3, I just fucking like tapped out. I was like, no, I don't think I care at all anymore, actually.
Yeah.
Like, is there any other franchise where that could happen, where it's like so tied to one particular director that like anybody else you would just be like, fuck this, actually?
The Star Wars sequels?
Yeah, maybe.
Just kidding, I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Like, series like right now are so weird because they're so not director driven.
Right.
Like all the Avengers movies have different directors. The fucking Star Wars sequels can't get their shit together with directors. Like it's just like it's not even a factor anymore. It's like none of them would be like that because like if you're only coming to Marvel movies for the one director, then you're only watching like one or two movies tops.
Right.
Well, I don't know, James Gunn though.
Right, yeah.
Like when they like Disney fired him from Guardians 3, I was like, oh, now it's gonna be bad. And literally the whole cast was like that, and they got him back. Thanks be to Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's my only example that I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good one. I don't know. To me, honestly, when that whole thing was going down, there was a part of me that's like, I would kind of like to see somebody else who's good step in. You know, it would be kind of interesting to see somebody else's take on it. But at the same time, like, it is kind of undeniable that his voice is so central to like what those guys are.
I just had a thought,
I think
I love it. What if James Gunn directed the Five Nights at Freddy's movie?
That's a good pick. If you're gonna make a Five Nights at Freddy's
James
movie,
Wan or James Gunn?
James Gunn.
I think that's a good pick. I think James Wan also would be a good pick, but I think I'd pick James Gunn over it.
What if they work together?
Like
I
that
feel
like
like
80s
that's the
aesthetic,
combo.
and I think that's like really important to the Five Nights at Freddy's thing.
Yeah.
The animatronics are so kind of vintage. Like that would be cool. I was thinking about who could direct the Five Nights at Freddy's movie because my dream of dreams. It's probably never gonna happen, but if it happens, I want the Five Nights at Freddy's movie to just be fucking amazing.
Yeah, because let's be clear. I think it like ultimately fell through. I don't know if they ever like officially announced that they're not going to do it anymore. But for a long time they were saying that like let's be clear, the absolute worst possible choice is Chris Columbus, who was originally going to do it, which sounds like the worst garbage ever. I would rather die than watch a Chris Columbus Five Nights at Freddy's movie
and have it be fucking boring and have nothing happen in it.
Yeah.
God.
That's how I play Five Nights at Freddy's. I stay in the room. I don't go outside.
Well, that's how everybody plays.
Yeah, that's how you play Five Nights at Freddy's, Keisha.
Yeah, but you know, I don't like that game. It scares me too much. I don't look at any of the cameras.
Five Nights at Freddy's is like Slender Man. It's still scary and it's not fair.
what was I gonna say?
Who's
Five
your
Nights at
director for
Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's?
Um,
Well, it's like it's kind of. I think it's similar. I think it's actually the opposite of what happened because like I talk about this a lot because in my dream of dreams I want the BioShock movie to be a Coen's brother movie, but where it was like
what? What? That is insane,
What?
Adelaide.
the Coen's brothers direct the BioShock movie. No, because it's like a period piece that's about like capitalism. How's that any different than the Hudsucker Proxy?
No, it would be a fun. No,
I think that would be great.
That's a bad call. I think.
Anyway, fuck you. But it's like where they were gonna make the BioShock movie, but then another video game movie fucking shit the bed and everybody hated it. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Mortal Kombat, actually. That fucking sucked. And then they were like, oh, we're never gonna make any video game movies ever again. And so the BioShock movie got put in the toilet. But like now, we've had a few that have done pretty well. I'm not looking at Sonic, I'm looking at like Detective Pikachu.
Sonic did very well.
It did very well, it's just not a good movie. But like, I don't know, I think the arena of video game movies is kind of heating back up again and like kind of becoming a possibility again. Because like I think as far as video game movies go, like a Pokemon or a Sonic movie are very safe bets because they're very mainstream. But like something like Five Nights at Freddy's, which is kind of an indie game, even though it's an incredibly popular indie game, it's still an indie game, you know.
And Lynn, I think you need to make peace with the fact that any BioShock movie that will exist will be directed by Zack Snyder. There is no getting around that.
Yeah, I know it will be, but I'm just saying, I like to play the game of like, what if this director did it, and how fun would that be?
Yeah.
I still think Brad Bird would make the best BioShock
movie. Brad Bird would be
really
my
weird
pitch
take
for
on
BioShock.
it. Yeah, he wouldn't get BioShock. He'd be like, capitalism's great, and we're like, no.
I wonder. I guess
capitalism's great. I'm a genius.
Yeah.
Brad Bird has never made an R-rated movie. I wonder what that would look like.
I know exactly. Like I don't know. Has he hasn't done anything live action, has he?
He's got an animated movie coming up, I think. It's
so no.
What?
He has
So now he doesn't do live action.
No, he does do live action. He did Mission Impossible in Tomorrowland.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, but Tomorrowland was bad.
That sucked.
I don't know. Some people like Tomorrowland. I don't know, but
who like Tomorrowland?
One of his early projects that never came to fruition was called Ray Gun. It was like a person's name.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
I think there have been some rumblings that he's like taken another shot at that.
Yeah. Weird.
Sometime in the future. Hold on.
My name is Ray Gunn. And I'm better than everyone around me who's trying to keep me down for my own greatness.
Brad Bird upcoming.
Directed by Brad Bird.
I guess that's not official. I don't know.
I just love the Iron Giant.
Here's an article from IMDb that says director Brad Bird's next film project is a live-action / animated musical. This is from January of 2019, so who's to say?
So maybe not. Actually,
I'm ready for it though.
I don't know. It sounds pretty tight. Also, okay, so on IMDb right now, they're apparently just running ads for Forrest Gump. It says
Why?
It says own it now on digital. Have you heard of this film? It's not like an anniversary or anything. It's not like a special edition. They're just like, hey, what about Forrest Gump? You want to watch Forrest Gump? I've never seen that before.
At least they're not telling you that like Ellen's dead or whatever.
Yeah, before it was always Ellen DeGeneres dies in tragic car accident.
Yeah.
I don't know. My friend just watched Forrest Gump for the first time in her life.
Yeah.
So maybe it was because of that ad.
I still maintain.
But I think.
Oh my god, they're listening to us. They're listening to a friend of a friend to give me ads.
Yeah, exactly.
They know how to get to you.
I still maintain that Forrest Gump is good. A lot of people are taking a harsh turn on Forrest Gump lately, but I say, you know what? Still good, that one.
I think it's still good. I just think that we need to stop making movies that steal from black people.
Fair.
Yeah. That's a good
You
take.
know,
I'm
the
with you
80s,
on
they
that.
had their time, in 90s.
Yeah.
They're like, ha ha, white person came up with Johnny Be Good.
Right.
That was like, that's exciting, but let's stop doing that now.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what did Forrest Gump steal from black people?
Like, Elvis learned to dance, like,
Oh,
not from...
right. Okay, yeah.
And Black Panthers are in Forrest Gump, and lots of other
Because
stuff.
he
I
gets
can't...
mad at Jenny for joining the Black Panthers.
Yeah, also,
Right.
like, AIDS. That's a weird thing. But we don't need to talk about that.
I mean, look. Okay, yeah.
We'll have another dip in the podcast.
Whatever. Yeah.
About AIDS.
There's no escaping. We're in a cul-de-sac.
Okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, the only like straightforward out and out joke in this movie, I think, is when Ed picks up that big fucking giant camera and is like, "Oh my god, it's so light." It's so funny.
Yeah, that was a good bit.
Really, really funny. But I
Well,
think,
also, there's that scene at the beginning when the teacher's like, I caught you girls smoking! And then she takes, like, a long drag.
yeah.
Oh,
It was
that's
the
good.
most obvious joke on the planet, though. I don't know if they get any credit
So
for that one.
look at this huge camera. It's so light.
No, come on, it's a good gag. It's funny.
It is, but it's like it's not a thoughtful joke.
Okay,
Like,
I think
anyone
it
can
is.
come up with that.
I think it's a very thoughtful
I just don't
joke,
think it's the
Kezia.
most original. I don't think it's the most original joke.
But
I still like it.
I also like right at the beginning where that little English girl is like, "Why don't you take a smoke, you priss?" I think that's really funny. I like priss. We should bring back priss as an insult.
It's yeah. It's not my favorite,
Oh, come
but
on.
it's pretty good.
It's good.
It's pretty good. I think we could do better, and we have done better.
No, I'm bringing back
that's
priss.
already better.
All right, that's your fight to fight. I'm not rooting against you, but I'm not rooting for you.
What were you saying, Adeline?
I was just saying that piss is better than priss. That's it.
And then I think all the stuff at the end with the tree is really good. Like
yeah.
it's got this very like Chekhov's gun phenomenon where it's like you're just like you see every step of it come together and you're like, oh fuck, Ed, look out.
Yeah.
Like it's just very satisfying
Always
in the way that
there.
you see each element come together specifically in this like grim prophecy sort of way.
Yeah.
That I think is really filmically engaging.
Uh-huh.
And I also think, what I was talking about with the joke, I think this movie is so great at, like, sort of tonal transitions. Like, the way it can move from really tense, scary things to, like, lighter, more heartwarming things and back again without necessarily, it never has to be, like, abrupt about it and be like, blah, okay, now we're doing this. Like, reset your palette. It's, like, really good at having these, like, smooth, like, natural transitions from, like, one drastically different tone to another,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like tonally the whole movie, even like all of the different shots that are composed, like they could have shaken cam through the whole thing, but they don't.
Right.
Like there's smooth gestures, like it all adds up to like a really cohesive piece.
Yeah, because this
Like,
movie
it never feels
so
like-
well directed. I mean, like we said, that's like the biggest appeal of these movies is like just that how talented James Wan is as a director.
I agree. I like that guy.
Adeline doesn't. She thinks Aquaman sucks.
I don't think Aquaman sucks.
You just said it!
That's unfair. That's an unfair statement.
It's a straw man argument, Jackson. It's not what I said.
Okay, what do you think about Aquaman then?
I think that Aquaman is okay, not good.
Not the fave. Not the
All right.
fave.
It's not my
I'm
favorite.
just saying
I think it's got a lot of good qualities, and I think it's got a lot of problems. I think overall it's pretty okay. I don't think it sucks, but I don't think it's great.
You're being you can't see, you're not allowed to think that and also think Conjuring's good. It's against the rules, actually.
No, I think no, because directors are allowed to be stronger in some some mediums than other ones.
That's actually
I
not true,
think you're
Kezia.
allowed one mistake, Jackson.
That's actually
and
not
his
true
one
because
mistake was
if you'll observe evidence, you'll see that Conjuring 1 and 2 are very good, and Aquaman is also very good. So clearly,
But I
it
think
doesn't
that
hold
James
up.
Wan is more suited tonally to The Conjuring 1 and 2 than Aquaman.
Aquaman's good.
Aquaman's fine. It's not
Aquaman's
the
awesome.
best.
Shut up,
God,
Aquaman.
thank you, Keisha.
It's fine. It's fine.
Did
It's
you
not
see
the
the crab guys? The crab guys and the trench people?
Yes, I saw them.
And the
Those
octopus?
are components, they're not the whole movie.
The octopus?
Did you see the fucking wig on his fucking girlfriend that looks like they got out of Party City?
I'm doubling down. The wig is good also.
It's not. It really
It's
isn't.
so red. It's so red. Why is it so red?
It's so red. God, if the
Mermaid
fucking
was
Little
fake.
Mermaid live action, if it looks anything like that, I'm rioting.
Red hair doesn't look like that in real life.
It doesn't.
So how many... I'm trying to think. Because Mulan bombed very badly. But
Yeah.
only for the obvious reasons. Like, not
Yeah.
because it wasn't good, more because they put it on Disney Plus and charged an obscene amount of money for it. And,
Yeah,
like...
it didn't stick to the parts of the movie that everybody liked.
No,
Took
I
out all the
honestly...
parts that everybody liked.
I think if everything was normal, it still would have made bank because fucking Aladdin made bank and Lion King made bank.
Yeah, but they kept in the parts of the movie that we liked. That's like if you made Aladdin and you took the genie out of it and replaced him with, like, I don't know, something stupid. What's the equivalent of a phoenix?
I don't know. The point is...
I don't know. The Lion King wasn't good. They took out the parts where lions could emote and make facial
That's the
expressions.
part of the movie that
Put
I
in
liked, where people
lions.
showed emotion.
I'm wondering, like, because every goddamn week I'm seeing, like, new casting announcements and, like, directorial assignments for these live-action Disney movies, and I'm trying to figure out what it would take to make them stop. Like, what would have to happen? And
people don't go to see them.
But that's not gonna happen, Keisha.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way.
But that's
like
see,
the perfect category of like a children's movie that also millennials will go to. It like hits the sweet spot.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that if they just continue like they are now, people are going to keep going to see them. Something has to happen that will make them stop.
I think
I'm trying to plot my revenge for Aladdin.
They run out of content.
I think that will stop going to them.
That's a good point.
People are racist about Mulan, kinda. But not in new ways.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's the same caricature problems with the original Mulan, right? I haven't seen it because I don't want to play $10.
I also haven't seen it, but it's like a lot of like Hong Kong, like real life nitty gritty pro police problems.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, it's just a lot of like political stuff that added up. Like a whole lot of like little things about like Chinese politics and that like all added up to like a lot of people in Hong Kong and China being very upset about it. But I
don't know that. Maybe being super racist enough.
I don't think that's the reason why it bombed though. I don't think that
really
had very much to do with it at all, to be frank.
Yeah.
But like I think there is a finite number because it seems like they've shown that people didn't really show up for Dumbo. People didn't really show up for Jungle Book in a huge way. Not as big as these other ones.
Jungle Book is the only good one. Fucking slabs.
So I think they've pretty much learned that like to get butts in seats you gotta have like that sweet spot of the like Disney Renaissance uber nostalgia movies, right? And once they burn through all those, there's only like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
Like, how are they gonna... Maybe we just have to wait it out, But they're making a sequel to Lion King, so maybe that's not even the answer.
Yeah. See, I hope...
I don't know. I was just gonna say, I think that it's an evil that we're gonna be living with now, because it's not like they're cutting down or like stopping the animation department.
No.
But like, people are showing up to these things and they're making hella bank from them. So I don't see a way other than like God himself.
Yeah, well, I think what's gonna do it is I think that the Little Mermaid is gonna be kind of racist. I think they're gonna like handle having a black Ariel incorrectly, and I think John Boyega is just gonna burn Disney to the ground, and I think that's gonna be what does it.
Can I tell you the truth? I think there is a 0% chance that Disney has anything to say at all in Little Mermaid. I think it's
Oh
going
no,
to
because
be
there's nothing to say.
completely and totally unacknowledged in a way that is completely and totally inoffensive to anybody. I don't
Yeah.
believe that there would ever be anything in that Little Mermaid movie that would make people not show up for it.
Yeah, well, 'cause what I want is this is a weird like I really want the Black Little Mermaid to have dreadlocks. I think that is important because like if she just has a stupid red wig, if she's not like representing like that like a different kind of like 'cause we've had the conversation of like black women being forced to like keep their hair professional, and that basically means having white hair instead of having their natural hair. So like to me, having Ariel have like Afrocentric hair is very important. But I think like that would be like that would be like the biggest take that they could do would be like giving Ariel like dreadlocks or more African centric hair.
I
Like I
think
think
it's
that's the biggest
totally
take that they could do because there's no other take on Little Mermaid about race unless you make a really weird race thing with the mermaids and the people, and that would make everybody uncomfortable.
there would never be any take. Okay, first of all, I think it's totally disingenuous to ascribe any greater racial significance to the live action Little Mermaid remake. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems weird that this is what we're talking about when it comes to this movie. First of all, and like I think even in the case that like if they do something like mega problematic, like that doesn't people don't boycott movies like that. It doesn't work. Like
Yeah.
the only the reasons people don't see movies is because they just don't feel it. They just don't feel interested. If
Yeah.
people are already interested in something and then it comes out that there's something super messed up about it, it doesn't matter because 90% of people aren't even going to know about it. And in that 10% of people that do know about it, probably 5% of those people are still going to see it even if they're conscientious and they're like, "Oh, I understand that this is what's bad about it, but I am still interested." They'll probably still see it. And like that is a totally like I don't know, counting on them to like mess up something politically is not like I don't
But
think.
Jackson, what about Cuties though? Because that was like
But Cuties is not something that people even knew about before the controversy.
It's true.
The only thing
I
people
think that's
know
a big
about Cuties is
QAnon
the
thing too.
controversy.
but that made people didn't see it because of the controversy though. Like people
We
were
have
like
we have
boycotting
absolutely no
Netflix.
data about who was seeing it because Netflix doesn't
Okay.
release that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we're living in a world of remakes
But that's the thing,
and
right? Like
refunds.
when you learn about like the collapse of the studio system in the like late 50s, early 60s, it is so absolutely uncanny how similar it feels to today. Like
Mm-hmm.
about how the film industry was shoveling more and more money into fewer and fewer movies on these tent poles that became more and more repetitive, and people just got sick of them, and they didn't show up to see them as well because they were so safe and so boring that like eventually it just wore people out, and that's when you start getting people like Mike Nichols like making movies like The Graduate and like Bonnie and Clyde and like the
Mm-hmm.
spaghetti westerns and like this new wave of cool interesting filmmaking coming out of like major studios. And like it's so uncanny how similar it feels, and I really think that the pandemic is gonna take a lot of the wind out of a lot of Disney's different sails. Because
Mm.
I think that the thing about Marvel, like their whole magic trick was that like you walk out of any given Marvel movie like more excited about future Marvel movies than you were satisfied with the movie you just saw. You know? Like
Mm-hmm.
when you walk out of a Marvel movie, you barely even want to talk about the movie you just saw. You want to tell your friends all about what you think they're going to do in the next Avengers movie, you know? Like, it's so...
That's fair.
Yeah, like, it's so built around this momentum. Like, keeping people coming back multiple times a year, growing and growing, and just keeping you engaged, like, month after month, and just, like, pushing this thing forward. And if we are now, like, pushing, like, 2 years without a single Marvel movie, I think that, especially right after, like, Endgame and Far From Home, I think that lack of momentum is really going to put a damper on the likes of Black Widow and Eternals when they finally do come out. And I think Star Wars is rightfully pumping the brakes on Star Wars for a little while. And the next big, like, sort of what they're trying to, like, replace Star Wars, quote unquote, with Avatar. But I really do think that Avatar is not going to put as many butts in seats as they think it will.
No.
My butt will be in a seat. I have not lost my passion for Avatar.
Kind of sets up the point.
But yeah, I just think that, like, I mean, maybe it's overly optimistic, but it feels like we're nearing a tipping point where, like, studios are really going to take a hard look at the kind of movies they're making, or double down extra hard on the bad things. Like, either they're going to take a hard look now, or they're going to double down in a way that makes it much worse, and that's when things are going to start to flip around because people aren't showing up. I think that, just me personally, that's where I see this going right now.
Well, it's capitalism. Like, that's what it is. If they're going to make money off of this thing, even if they're pumping out garbage, they're going to keep doing that, you know?
It's also harder to measure because a lot of times I see, like I will go to an AMC to go see Big Hero 6 or whatever Marvel movie is out, and then maybe I'll wait until The Farewell is on Hulu, or I'll go see it at a small local theater or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that we have those options now, and we can, and it takes so little time for something to become streamable, that it's so hard to tell, like, what is going to go under, because if you're making upwards of $1 billion every time you remake The Lion King.
Right.
I don't know.
Because that's
I don't know. We're just in the beginning.
Right. That's the whole, like, the biggest problem in, like, the film industry, quote unquote, is that, like, studios don't want small successes. Like, in the olden days, it would, like, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it would be like, we're gonna make, like, you know, a few dozen movies a year, and we're gonna, you know, some of them are gonna be big, expensive blockbusters, and some of them are gonna be, like, mid-level, like, $50 million, and some of them are gonna be super small. They got, like, this whole range of different movies. They're all gonna, like, proportionally make back money, and a whole lot of smaller successes adds up to a lot of big profits. But now they're putting more and more money towards fewer and fewer movies. They don't want, like, studios don't want to make whatever, $10 million off a movie. They want to make $100 million plus off of every movie they put out. So it's like, you know, it's this weird thing. And I really and truly think that, like, there's a certain loss of momentum with a lot of these franchises. And I don't think it's going to keep going like this forever.
I don't think it will either, but I don't think it's going away for a while.
And I talked about this earlier, about how Disney always gets me with these remakes by, like, hiring cool, interesting directors and, like, cool casts and stuff. And they hired goddamn Barry Jenkins, director of Moonlight, to do Lion King 2. And that is the most, and it's the epitome of what I'm talking about. That's how they get people like me. Like, they know that everybody in the world is going to show up like, oh, sequel to Lion King, whatever. And anybody in the world who's like, oh, fuck that, they'll be like, but Barry Jenkins, though. And they're like, fuck, Barry Jenkins, though? Like, that's how they, like...
Is this going to be an interesting perspective on what it means to take on the responsibility of your deceased father, and you are not prepared for it? Maybe I've heard this before somewhere else, but maybe it'll be like The Lion King Godfather 2, where
Right.
it's like, ooh, Simba is taking the throne and flashback to Mufasa taking the throne. But also, isn't that just Black Panther?
Fair.
I don't know.
And yeah, and I think in a vacuum, if you were like, oh, Barry Jenkins is writing a script that's a sequel to Lion King, I'd be like, that sounds sick as hell. I think there's a lot of great ideas that you could play with, like continuing the story of Lion King. No complaints. But I've just been burned so many times on these Disney remakes.
Well,
Like,
it's just gonna be a shot-for-shot remake of The Lion King 2 that already exists, like, right?
I will see that.
what?
I
No,
love
they're
The
not
Lion
doing.
King
I don't
too.
like. They're not doing a remake of the direct-to-video Lion King sequel. It's gonna be its own thing.
No, man. I don't know.
They might take some things from it.
No,
Some
if
is
there's
good.
even the slightest similarity between the Lion King 2 and the sequel to the live action Lion King, I will eat my hat. I'm putting that out into the world. I will eat a hat if it is
Well, I'm just saying that because there was such a lack of creativity in the live action. It's not live action, but of the new Lion King. Like they literally just
One
remade the movie.
one
So why
shot
would they
is live
go? Why
action.
would they go ape shit with the sequel if they didn't go ape shit with the original?
they're not gonna go apeshit. It's probably just gonna be boring and stupid.
But then why wouldn't it just be a shot-for-shot remake of the direct-to-video
Because
bullshit
Adeline,
then?
because nobody gives a fuck about the direct-to-video
That
Lion
is
King 2.
incorrect, Jackson. A lot of people give a very big fuck about those.
I'm not talking about people you know from Tumblr. I'm talking about the general populace.
Dude, take a fucking poll on Twitter of any Gen Z person or millennial person of if they care about the direct-to-video, like, fucking Lion King sequels, and they will fucking say yes, because every motherfucker had a crush on that fucking lion.
But Adeline, if I took a poll on Twitter about whether or not people gave a shit about the live action Lion King, everybody would say no, it looks stupid.
How are
It's
those
also
points
not true.
related?
Because I'm just saying that like the people that you see, the people that you interact with on Twitter are not 100% representative of the genuine populace of the world who are going to go see this movie.
I just think that people like those movies, and I'm saying if they were not original with the first one, why would they be original with the second one? Even if it's not shot for shot, it's probably going to be the same thing. Where it's like, oh, I think it's in Romeo and Juliet, but with lions, you know.
Maybe it'll be again like Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where the first one is pretty much plot, plot, plot. Here's how the Guardians got together, and then the second one was like, oh, what does it mean to be a family, and what does fatherhood look like in a broken family? They gotcha. They tricked you. They tricked you into seeing this movie about fatherhood.
But the Disney move is to trick me into seeing it and then it's bad. Like, I wouldn't be mad if they
You
tricked
don't
me into
know.
seeing it and it's good. I'd be like, oh, okay, I was surprised. I'll take that one. Like, I don't
That's
know.
what Lion King 2 will be.
Dumbo,
Yeah.
and that's where the problem is.
Yeah, exactly, because I kind of like Dumbo. Dumbo's fine. The
I
Tim
think
Burton
that's-
one, I mean.
No,
I think what needs to happen is there needs to be some kind of like new take. Like I don't think there is any new take on the Lion King. Like the Lion King is already modern enough.
Yeah.
Itself is not a new take.
But like
It's just
when they
Hamlet.
redid Cinderella and they were like, "Oh, people are hating on Cinderella because she doesn't do anything in her own story."
Right.
And they took it and they made her like her strength is kindness and forgiveness and like
Right.
those are admirable traits for people to have. I think that's like what made that a successful
Right.
remake.
Yeah,
Well,
this
yeah,
is the hill
and,
that
you
I
know-
will die on with Disney sequels is that making or remakes to remake a movie like Cinderella where the animated version is still like 50% mouse plot. That is a movie that needs to be remade because you could like beef up the characters, you could add more story elements that are like gaps that can be filled within the original movie. So remaking it makes sense, and when you're providing like new visuals and
Right.
new stuff, it's like this makes sense. And then, but when you're remaking Aladdin, the original animated Aladdin is a perfectly good, amazing, funny film with a good plot and good characters. Like it doesn't, we don't need to add anything else on. So why are we remaking it? Like it's. Like, The Lion King is everybody's favorite movie. People love The Lion King. There's no reason to remake it because there's no plot holes to fill.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a combo of new thing, make money, and also people don't respect the animation industry and think that animation is for children, and that in order for it to be good, it has to be a real person walking around on a green screen.
The only way that animation is good is when the animation is realistic, when it's like CGI, which is stupid.
Mm-hmm. Hateful.
Jackson,
people are hateful.
I
don't remember what this has to do with the Conjuring.
Look, I'm just gonna put out in the world, if Lion King 2 has anything at all to do with the direct-to-video Lion King 2, I will eat a hat. I will eat a hat live on camera.
Jackson, we've been recording for like 2 hours, and I'm fading into the Phantom Zone. We have to
I
end
know.
the podcast.
Okay, so I'm looking for a 1-star review of Conjuring 2 bars.
I have something pretty important to say, and it's just that Morris Gross is a funny name.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's all. I wrote, haha, Morris Gross, smiley face.
Yeah, Kate is right. Fucking Cinderella 3 is so good.
Oh, Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time.
Like, deep up the characters and plot and stuff. It's good. Cinderella 3 slaps.
Yeah, and like Cinderella takes so much into her own hands, and the prince is a real person.
Yeah, and Anastasia like gets a moment to like be a character. Her sister doesn't, but Anastasia does.
I know. Screw Drizella.
Yeah, fuck Drizella. Who cares?
But that Baker, he's handsome in a relatable way.
Yeah, cause like when I'm bored, I'm thinking of doing. You heard it here first. Like, I've been thinking of doing, once I get, like, a good setup of doing a series of videos where I just go through chronologically all the Disney princess movies, because I have a lot of opinions. But, like Cinderella 3 is so good. Cinderella 2 is horrible. It's just, like, a dumb collection of stories, and they're all animated terribly, and nobody put any effort into them. But, like, Cinderella 3 is, like, genuinely really good, and it's for no reason. It's so good.
Okay, yeah, so would you guys... Oh, okay, fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's very similar to Back to the Future 2.
It is.
And I love Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
So would you guys like to hear a 1/2 star review of The Conjuring 2 bars?
Sure.
Yes, please.
So this person says, the first movie was, in my opinion, expertly directed. Great shots and cinematography. So what in the living fuck went wrong with this one? Did James Wan do 20 lines of cocaine and then inject heroin before directing this movie?
Oh my god.
Haha, drug jokes.
Anyway, my name's Jackson McMurray.
Did he drink? Was he smoked marijuana? My name is Ally McMurray.
James Marijuana.
Do I say my name now? My name is Kezia Rhodes.
Yeah, sure, go for it. We'll figure out a new system.
I'll go first.
Okay. We're not in the new phase yet. You're still just a guest on this one. You'll be a non-guest soon. Yeah,
that's true.
But for now, you're still just a guest.
It won't say feet me anymore.
Yeah, now it's still Feet Kezia.
Yeah, that was my nickname in high school.
Hey, it's Feet Kezia! We call her that because she likes feet so much.
I was gonna go with because she smells like feet.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know.
No, I definitely got the foot fetish thing.
Either way, they're weird.
We all thought you liked feet. That's why we were calling you. But I don't know. Maybe it started a different way.
Maybe it's different. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm indifferent towards them. They serve their function.
Okay, but like, why would they call you Feet Kezia if you didn't like Feet Kezia?
Because I actually have feet for hands.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
It's bullying. It's bullying at its finest.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna stop recording.
Yeah, no, we can go ahead and stop. Because I don't know, I might cut out some of our Disney talk in the second half.
Yeah,
we talked for really long.
Just to keep it from being 2 hours long.
I really went into the Phantom Zone at some point, and I couldn't tell you where exactly it was, but I was gone, man.
For a while, I was like, this still connects back, and then nope, we're down.
No,
we're so far down the rabbit hole. But it's okay, because these things needed to be said.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah, sorry we
about
went a little
the-
bit deeper into Bummerville than we usually like to do this time, guys.
Yeah, like sometimes you just gotta take a detour to Bummerville so that Bummerville doesn't jump up on you when you don't
Yeah.
expect it.
Every once in a while, take a vacation to Bummerville so you don't have to go there all the time.
So you don't have to live there.
Just like a summer house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our cabin in Bummerville. Whatever. Well, neat.
Okay.
Hi, Cade. My name is Kezia, by the way.
That's
It's
cute.
nice to see the picture of, I assume, what you've drawn of yourself.
You know, like nya?
I don't know. Maybe.
Does it say Nya on it?
I don't know.
It's so small. I cannot see. Who
We're still
Nias?
streaming. I closed out the window so I could just have the pop out chat, but now I gotta go all the way back in and stop the stream.
Get with the stream.
I'm working on it.
Oh,
My other thought, I really like that biscuit subplot of the little
that
kid.
was cute. That was a good one.
Mummy, I brought you a biscuit. You can't afford cigarettes anymore.
Hello, Mummy. I brought you a biscuit. That's what all the
Except
British
for he has a
accents in this
stutter.
movie sound like.
Hello, Mom.
Okay, cool. So there's still 5 people here. I hope you guys have fun today.
There were definitely 2 for like a minute. Some people dropped out.
Yeah, it was during that long tangential rant about live action.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you guys for hanging in with us. If you did, if you didn't, then fuck you.
I disagree. Thank you for being here whenever you could be.
Yeah.
Your time is very valuable. Thanks for spending it with us.
All right. Okay. Thank you guys, and we're gonna end the stream in 3, in 2, in 1. Boom. Ended. Wait.
Wow.
Yes. Now ended.
Incredibly.